Going live. We're going live.
Going live. But now we're live now.
Oh, we are live. We are live.
18 gallons of like reverb and chorus on my voice only.
Whatever. Let me make sure.
I just want to sound like a robot.
You sound like a robot.
Hello, I am JD. Beep, boop.
My name is JD.
You too.
My name is JD. We are setting up the cameras for our live broadcast.
And with the
I don't make this stuff up. JD is setting up the microphones on his end. Hopefully, it's
and on your end.
all reverb. You're gonna do mine too?
Yeah.
Oh, so all right. I didn't know it was both of us.
You
I like how JD sets up the Twitch before I'm able to even set up the main camera for YouTube. Which one do we use when we do the YouTube video? Which one's more important, you think?
that one.
All right.
Well, the Twitch is giving the complete behind the scenes.
We need to.
So you can move that around. They're getting like they're like the third member.
Yeah, but this is really the least important. I would rather have a good quality shot here, so when I'm editing,
Move it around. I ain't gonna
unless you want this one to be the most important shot.
Listen, I'm just putting it there.
Is that the? Well, yeah, but that's my point. Like, let's set this camera up first.
All right, so set it up. I ain't stopping.
Yeah. I'm just saying. You know what? I'm just gonna make it so I'm on camera, and then Twitch could just be all you. We just. Look, all right, get this out of here. This has to get out of here. Let me set this up first, and then you can place this wherever you want. But after this is done,
There you go.
see that?
There you go. Perfect.
Perfect. As long as it's on my testicles, that's all I care about. Honestly. What are you doing? You gotta sit down so I can get a good shot. Hey, wait, I'm not done yet. Jesus. Well, that's say that. That looks nice. I just got to get you in the shot.
Just focus on the dog.
Honestly, I feel like that would be the better show.
I mean, he's adorable. So we just have like a million people flocking just to see him.
The only issue is we're both so attractive. I don't know if all the girls are going to be. Oh, look, they're all gone.
Oh, look, speak for yourself. Wait, what?
So good. What are we talking about today? Oh, I know. Let me put the banner up.
Can you talk to your microphone while you're talking to me, please?
I'm working here.
Yeah, we're having banter.
Oh,
I can banter.
I gotta do that. I gotta.
Yes.
Yes,
You're
master.
talk into the microphone.
Yes, my liege.
Thank you.
How's that feel?
Actually, you're pretty much perfect, right?
I know I am.
Ooh.
Yeah,
and you're the best at being modest.
Yeah, no, I am definitely. I've worked hard to be as good as I am at being honest. It took me many years to perfect the skill
To be the best.
The best
Around.
at being humble.
No one's ever gonna keep you down.
No, seriously. I spend most of my days playing
B-ball.
b-ball.
Something about Bel Air.
Something about Bel Air. Okay, let me set up the rest of the cameras.
All right, set up your camera.
You already did your hard job.
I did.
You set up the mics.
I did. Now I'm gonna share the links for everyone on the social media.
What links?
What the hell is a link?
What are you talking about?
I don't know what's going on right now.
I feel like you don't care.
I mean, I care a little bit.
Look, see, I'm setting up your camera first, just so it's okay.
Hi.
We gotta make sure everything about it is good with you.
Listen, you gotta look pretty too.
Yeah, I wish that was the case.
Oh look, Thomas is putting me on a camera.
Oh, yeah, well, we don't want to worry about me.
I mean, everyone. I'm totally worried about
No,
you.
don't worry, we got you set up. That's all that matters.
Listen, you're obviously the most handsome out of you and the dog.
Don't worry, the camera's on you. Yeah, that's a good shot.
We get people sneeze it with this.
I got JD a good shot. I just like to point that out. Look at his belly. You like it? He's a little jealous.
It's gorgeous.
You're jealous. Oh, you think I'm fat?
Yep.
Jesus. I noticed you didn't set up this tripod.
You were in charge of the tripod.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got everything out of the cabinet. I see. I'm the fucking servant. I'm the oldest and the wisest.
And I'm the one serving the food.
And I don't see my teeth.
Well, it's because I'm sitting there.
That's right. Yeah.
We have to get you a giant, like a ridiculously comically large mug, just to hold.
Listen.
With a really tiny handle.
What is all this? What's going on here?
Cables.
How am I supposed to do this if you're not helping?
I helped.
What you do?
The audio.
Notice we don't care about my camera. I guess I'll just set it to a blind person.
Can I just get a little paper plate with a little smiley face on it?
I mean, might as well. Doesn't matter. It's just my camera.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
You're so funny.
Thank you.
Guess don't worry. You stay there. I got this. I'm just
All
gonna keep getting up and going back and forth.
You're welcome.
Hey man, that's what we do. That's what
I
we
know,
do.
I'm here.
At least your camera's so good. Well, look at that. I did a perfect job.
You did.
God, I'm so good at this. Hey! Today we're going to be talking about the process of writing creatively in all art forms. What is the narrative idea? That's what we're supposed to be thinking. What do we got here? What do we got here?
Someone saying hi.
There's a lot of people saying hi.
So hi to everybody who's saying hi.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Bubba said hi. Boop, boop, boop. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I'll do that. What am I doing? Something broken. Ooh, look at that. Social media. See, we gotta do this every time. So people can follow along on the adventure while we're doing all this stuff on
Never heard of it.
What the hell's alive?
What? Who? What is our, what is it, BBR, what is it, youtube.com/, is it bringing reality to your dreams, right?
I think so.
Can you check for me, please?
Yes, I can. Where are we? YouTube. Boop. Boop. It's. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Any moment.
There you go.
No, take your time.
There you go.
Did you find it?
Finding it.
What is it?
Bringing reality to your dreams.
Okay.
That's
Perfect. I already got it.
Okay.
Oh, it's BBR Productions bringing reality to your dreams. Oh my god, I feel like I deal with humans. I asked, is it bringing reality to your dreams? He goes, yeah. And then he sends me the link.
Well, you said, I thought I heard
And
you
he
say
sends me the
BBR.
link.
I thought you said BBR Productions ahead of that, and then I added that.
Well, luckily we have the video to correspond to that.
Well.
But again, I don't make these things up.
Again, it's what
And
was
I'm
said and what
usually
was perceived.
100%. All right. No, thank you for sending it to me. I really appreciate it. You're the best. You're welcome. All right. What's next? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got to do?
Well, I was going to share. Or did you share it to the BBR Facebook?
Who? I didn't share anything. I was busy trying to figure out what the URL is.
Oh.
Then I got to plug these things. Oh man.
Oh, wait, you have the cards?
Yeah, they're already in.
Okay.
Can you do me a favor? I know it's a lot of work, but
What?
can you plug that camera? You get this one, you get this one.
Thanks.
Thank you.
No. Thank me.
You know how to do it?
We'll find out.
Oh, this is gonna be a good episode, man. I can just feel it. I can just feel the tension.
feel it coming in the air tonight.
I have a really good starting question too.
What's a good starting question?
Oh well, we gotta wait till the show officially starts.
I thought you meant like in regards to plugging this thing in.
No. You're gonna like it, I think. I think you'll like the first question I have. First of many.
The hell's a question?
Oh my god.
All right.
I just stepped in dog something. Son of a bitch. Dog. This is what I gotta deal with. Thanks, dog.
Did you just roll?
Yeah, I stepped in drool. Yummy. All right, what do we got? What do we got?
Well, I'm gonna make tea next, so you don't.
Can you hit record anything?
I can't. We're recording.
You know I like my tea.
I know.
You know I like it.
Because I missed it twice, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna complain about not having tea." Oh, wait, I gotta get your giant soup bowl mug.
Oh yeah, I need my giant soup bowl mug. If I don't have it, I feel left out.
I still say we should get you like an even bigger
Yeah.
mug, or one that's the shape of someone's skull.
All right. Okay. What's this? JD McGibney. Let's share this, I guess. I noticed you didn't stop this video short. You let us just carry on with our yes ends.
Welcome.
I appreciate that. I like that you're losing your, your MC qualities.
You want honey in your tea?
Ooh, yeah. And I told you never at work. Do you want honey in your tea? What's that? What are you eating? Not honey? I told you never at work.
I always drink coffee when I watch radar. You know that.
Mr. Radar. All right.
Mr. Coffee.
Ignore the sound. By the way, feel free to throw in some comments. If anyone has any questions on the subject at hand. Oh, yeah, there we go. If we say something that's crazy or inaccurate, feel free to correct us. We'll be happy to ignore your answer. And then, obviously, I just want to. Oh, look at that! Some nice. Look, it's cleaning out my sinuses. This is nice. Basically, YouTube is the behind-the-scenes thing. We like to do that before, and then we cut it down for the real thing. I kind of need what's going on. Headphones are like blasting for some reason. What the hell?
Turn them down.
Hello? Oh, that's so much better. Jesus.
Did you go deaf?
No, you had mixer on, so it was like making it weird.
Oh.
This guy over here. Anyway, so this is behind the scenes right now. YouTube is going to let you see stuff and interact. That's the only reason we do YouTube Live, is we want you to interact. We want you to feel part of it. We want you to, feel like you can add to the discussion. That's the whole point of everything.
To talk.
To talk, to have fun, to enjoy.
Drink tea.
To drink tea.
So if you all got some tea, join us.
I have my hot beverage and I have my cold beverage. These are sponsors. Anyway. All right.
This thing.
What are you plugging in?
This.
Oh, Jesus. Did you even start the recording on the audio?
No.
I had some good stuff I threw in there. I did. It was all just gibberish. Anyway, as you can see, you can ask questions. Watch this. Watch this.
Okay.
I'm going to write a question.
Oh, please write a question.
Hello,
Hello, baby.
everyone.
Honey.
Join in the fun. See that? Boom.
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 Oh, I'm getting some messages here.
All right, ready?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, but hit the thing. Ready?
Yeah, whatever. Not the clap thing. It doesn't even do it. Oh, yeah.
I just like that.
Take it seriously. No.
I am.
All right.
Prost.
Yeah.
Skål.
Skål. Let me. This is going to be going off the whole time. I know this.
It is.
Yeah.
Go.
I'm not a popular guy, but for some reason, whenever I do something, I appear to be popular.
It's always when you're in the middle of doing something, like the phone starts blowing up, and I'm just like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?"
Yeah, like love making, and they're like, "It's 2 a.m. Who's calling?" And I'm like, "Who?"
Are you interested in solar panels?
Yeah. Sir, would you like solar panels? I don't live there. Yes, but do you own the home? You know what? Yeah. Just show up anytime you want. Knock on the door as hard as possible. Please make sure it's at 8 a.m. Anyway. Hey, listen, I just know, I want you to understand, I don't make this stuff up. JD makes some of it up, but the dog definitely makes up 90% of it.
He totally does.
Absolutely. I don't make this stuff up. It's a show that it basically is, JD and I have a conversation. JD's the artist brain in this situation, and I'm usually the artist meets a professional brain because I'm business. I'm all business, though.
And I'm still malleable and learning.
Yeah, that is true. I have turned him into clay once.
It was weird.
Yeah, very awkward for the shower. But ultimately, I am creative, but I never let the two interact. But today, I'm going to go against my business brain. We're going to talk about the creative process. As you can see from the title of the show, the process of writing creatively in all forms. And then obviously, what is the narrative of my idea? Because those are the important aspects of writing. And we're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about literature. We're going to talk about scripts. We're going to talk about comedy and anything else that JD wants to bring in about his relationships. We are going to just...
Just so we're we're clear. An idea is like a headache with pictures, right?
I am not clear. You can't see through me. My transparency.
Says you.
I'm as transparent as the president.
So Clay, gotcha.
Not including my diapers. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about the process of writing creatively in all forms. If you have any questions about the process of being creatively, or you yourself are being creative and you're a wall or a blockage, throw that stuff at us. We'll be happy to answer that question.
Hopefully not a kidney blockage.
Yeah, you don't want a kidney blockage. And also, if you feel like you have to break a leg, don't break your own, break someone else's, because the purpose of creativity and success is really based on everyone around you, not just yourself, and that's what we talk about. However, today, we're going to be jumping on something. But before we get started, I just want to say, I don't make this stuff up. And last week, we had a really good, strong conversation. My producer brain, in both music and industry of film and all these things, has a very specific ear to it. The reason I can be a producer is because, well, actually, JD, what does a producer do for music?
They are someone that helps basically guide the artist in creating the music.
So they help with arrangements. They help with they clean it up. They
don't necessarily do the writing, but they go, oh, that's a great idea. Do this, do that, add this.
That's right. Now, do you think they have to have a good ear for that?
Yes, they might actually have to have two good ears.
Well, it depends. If they have one massive ear, they might not need the other ear.
I mean, that's true.
But that's neither here nor ear. All right. So with that said, though, last week we were getting into the discussion that you were working on a cover.
I was.
And my argument was that you have a distinct style of writing.
That is true.
And I believe the song was not in your style of writing. It was just you playing the song. Did you ever get a conclusion? Because you were supposed to get a second opinion.
We did get a second opinion.
What did they say?
It did not sound like my style of writing.
Wait a minute. But you were saying definitively that you believed it was, and I was telling you with my expertise, which you've actually listened to 90% of your life. So what was the pushback? Why did you feel it sounded like yours and didn't take my trusted producer here?
Because to me, it sounded like my style of playing, but not my style of writing.
But I agree with that.
I was focusing on my style of playing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It does have your style of playing, because I was pointing that out. It sounds like you playing, but it's not necessarily your style of writing. And obviously, you can hear that now.
I can hear that.
Now,
but I think our argument goes back to the fact that I had always been arguing that it sounded like my style of playing. I wasn't arguing my style of writing. That's where I think our discussion from last week really came down to.
Maybe
100%, I will agree with you that it does not sound like my style of writing.
Yeah.
But I guess was not being clear when I was focusing on saying it sounded like my style of playing.
That's all right. The audience could go back and listen to last week's episode, and we can too when we're doing note searching. You'll see that I was really talking about that the song itself did not sound like you wrote it. And
I was agreeing with that.
Yeah, but so it had nothing to do with your playing. My argument started, well, my position started on, this does not sound like you wrote it. So your playing really had little to nothing to do with the conversation. Until later on when we're talking about Randy Rhoads, which, by the way, I think I'm correct on that too. But that's neither here nor there. But this leads us into a creative process that I was right, because I don't make this stuff up. But anyway, JD has moved out. No.
I'm actually doing this remotely from Guadalupe.
That's right. He's a hologram.
Guantanamo.
He's written all his music with headphones on from this point on. I'm like, why don't you let me hear it? He's like, oh, you know. You don't make it up. You should know. And I was like, yeah. All right.
I mean, that is a valid argument.
That is fair. That is absolutely fair.
Well, you're also doing stuff that involved headphones. I would be more like, I don't want to play games.
Did I have headphones on? No, I don't use headphones on my computer because I'm the alpha. Fine.
From now on, I am not using headphones.
Well, to be fair, usually I am writing. I'm not doing music or noise stuff. I'm just writing. And if I do noise stuff, I usually say, JD, is it okay if I watch something? Or JD, I'm going to work on music.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm polite about it. But I am still the alpha. All right,
so then you can wear your headphones when you're doing your writing now.
Why do I need to wear headphones if I'm writing? I don't listen to anything.
Noise cancel.
I don't have noise cancelers. Trust me, I wear them all day. Did you know there's actually a group of people out there that are obsessed with noise canceling headphones? And also they get earplugs that cancel out noise or frequencies, and then they can turn them on and off as if they were deaf, but they can hear fine. because I know this is a little off topic, but look this up. It's a real thing. And basically, there's frequencies that hit our ears that can actually distort us or make us sick or make us feel disoriented.
That's
Which is true. I mean, we're musicians.
Well, is that,
you know, like when you hear crap music, you're like, oh, get this.
Is that like was it synesthesia? That where you like basically you have like a
No, that's where you see sounds.
you see colors in relation to like tones.
That is something completely different. This is just a group of people that believe the sound they hear is going to influence their health, so they actually wear special earplugs, which isn't uncommon. It is not uncommon in certain crazy neighborhoods. But it is true. Sound can influence you. But that's not what today's show is. Today's show is about the process of writing creatively in all art forms. Now, JD, what is something you look for in narrative? Or what is, first of all, what is narrative to you? So I can correct it.
Well, narrative to me, maybe because I don't know the complete definition.
That's all right. What is it to you?
Is the telling of a story, to be as simple as possible.
The telling of a story. All right, I'll accept that. Now, how do you tell a story?
Well, that depends on what kind of medium.
See, this is where I disagree now. Because I believe storytelling is identical in all forms of art. That's why today it's creatively in all forms of art.
Well, you could be using words if you're writing.
We're not talking about the structure.
Oh.
I mean, we're only talking about structure. Because narrative has to do with structure. It doesn't have to do with the way you present that structure. Because if that's the case, then you having a conversation with me with your words would mean that conversation has nothing to do with somebody who can't speak and is using sign language.
Well, they are speaking.
Or they're using music. Or they're using whatever other form. They're using color, color language. Some people use colors for conversation. So I do disagree with you there. However, continue on. So you believe it depends on the form.
I'm not being wise.
Oh. But we are experiencing BS. All right. So I really should have been a psychologist. I just want to point that out.
I don't know why you're not.
I feel like I am, because 90% of my phone calls are like, can I pay you just to be my consultant? I go, yeah. And then they're like, my kid, he just won't listen to me. I was like, you don't have children.
It's like, hey, but I'm paying you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it's cheaper to pay me than a psychologist. Anyway, so what are some things you feel make up a narrative? Like what are important aspects of a narrative?
Well, I think the most important thing to any narrative is being able to create an emotional connection to what's going on in the story and the person that's consuming the narrative in whatever form it is.
All right, so now we're adding the element of the reader or the audience. We're not talking about audience yet. We're just talking about narrative, creative narrative. So
well, then that emotional anchor to draw people in, I think, is the most important to any narrative, because you can just tell a story, but as you so criticize a lot of my writing, it's just very straightforward to the point. There's not a lot of emotional connection.
Well, things happen in your stuff, and nothing substantial connects it. So
that's what I'm saying. The most important thing in a narrative is being able to have that, those hooks, those connections, those anchors to bring people in.
Yes. Do you know how to do that?
I don't.
Well, there's things called tension. There's it's that's very taught of you. That's a pun. I'm about to taught you. Anyway, there's tension. There's the inciting incident. There's things like that. There's your conflicts, your resolves. You have your ascending and descending, acts.
But would that be part of the, I guess, like the formula for a narrative?
Correct.
Ooh, I guess that's word. That was correct.
That is correct.
Hold on, wait. Make it my green.
I didn't disagree with you. You only get a green when I disagree, and then you are proven right. That's why you only have like 2 real ones.
In that case, do I get like a sticker, like a little star?
I'll give it to you later. So see me outside behind the garbage truck. All right. So a narrative is always going to be based on the formulation of the story. So for a true story, even in life, for us to truly feel something with somebody, like for me and you to have a friendship, there had to be a form of tension, but it didn't necessarily have to be negative tension. Tension could be anything. It could just be you were learning, but you didn't believe the majority of the stuff I was teaching, and then you slowly did, and then you had confidence in me, you had a belief in me, and that allowed you to break that resolve into going, I'm willing to listen to this person.
Oh, the fact that you basically were telling me all this stuff, and then you were living the result that you said that all the stuff would give. I was like, all right, well, if he's doing the thing that we want to be doing, and he's said he did what he's teaching us, then I don't see why I wouldn't listen to this guy at least.
Well, it's like listening to a guy at like one of those speaking things we go to, and they're like, "This is how you become a successful actor." You go, "Oh, how's your acting career?" Well, I was a hand model when I was younger. Oh, how often did you do it? I did it like once or twice. So what do you do? So you didn't act? No, I'm in the industry though. Why? Oh, I teach people like you to be successful. Well, are you successful in the industry? No. I like to help people become successful. Oh, well, how did you become successful? But me, myself, and I have lived all the areas, and I make a living within the entertainment industry. So that is the tension resolved, by the way, for our story, is that you were able to see the truth in my actions. So in writing, they always tell you, show, don't tell. In music, you have to show, not tell. And that comes from lyrics can be very specific, or they can have, they can be metaphorical. They could have no lyrics, but all those things need to still show without telling. So if in a song, you're literally saying, I'm fighting the dragon has been defeated. That's not as powerful as the journey of dealing with the dragon. The fear runs through me. I'm nervous to draw my sword. What can my shield and metal?
Fire.
My balls have been singed. No, that's telling.
But I used the fancy word, singed.
Yeah, but you said my balls have been singed. Now you're telling.
Oh.
See, that's also, I talk about this with marketing. When you're doing social media posts and stuff like that, or telling a story when being interviewed, it's all about the journey and not about telling people. If you open up a chapter to a book and it literally says, I'm standing here with my 5 friends. We are waiting in a room with 4 walls, 2 windows, and a door. We're at a table. That's not as exciting as feeling that attention. I've never been so unsure of myself, even surrounded by people I've trusted for years. We're awaiting somebody I've never met, but I was told to be here at 4. That's more powerful than I'm in a room with 4 of my friends.
So the tension and the mysterious.
But that's the deal. We're adding information and details that are explaining something that the audience doesn't know, or the character, right? And we're also knowing that, but it could go the other way. I confidently, I've never felt more confident about any situation. I can't wait till this person enters because I am surrounded by my 4 best friends. That's still not telling, that's showing what they're going through, that's showing their emotions, because you're not necessarily saying like, this is nothing for them. It's just, I'm confidently awaiting, But the secret to music and even comedy is ultimately doing that. How do you show without telling, right? So there's this. Listen.
I am, but I'm also showing through interpretive dance.
You're an amazing tap dancer, by the way. I like that you
With my hands.
He uses his feet, and he also has a muter because his schlong is so long. He just kind of. Sounds disgusting. Speaking of schlongs, did you know that a diphthong? No, my dangling participle. These are all word puns. I guess because
Sounds very punishing.
Who? But anyway, so as I was saying, so
Back to
there's
the beginning.
who? Let's go back. Is this hot? Yeah. So
This is a video?
what is this? A video? So there are tools to writing, but even in music, comedy, whatever the case may be. So in comedy, you have a thing like the twist, right? The twist. And the reason the twist exists is because you present something and then you turn it around because with something you didn't expect. That is tension. So for example, if I go, 2 guys walk into a bar, you think one of them would have noticed. Now, obviously it's a simplified joke, but the idea is 2 guys walk into a bar. Your brain is thinking bar, a club, a venue, a place you can enter. And then the twist is you think one of them would have noticed, and they're suggesting, oh, it's an actual bar. But there's tension there.
They actually walked into it and went out.
Yeah, but the idea is like they walk into a bar. What happened at that? And it's like, oh, you think one of them would have known. And they're like, oh, see, my brain was over here. And tension does that. So in storytelling, when you create that moment of tension,
You gave him a misdirect.
that help. No. Misdirect and tension are two different
No.
things.
When you say they walked into the bar, you see your mind is over here, but you're actually over here. Wouldn't that be a misdirect?
But it's not meant to be. It's not purposefully meant to be a misdirect. You're psychologically creating the misdirect, but I am creating the tension with the story, and then I resolve the tension with humor in this situation because it's so twisted. But in storytelling,
Potentially painful.
but a misdirect doesn't necessarily create tension, if that makes sense. A misdirect might just be to confuse the reader on purpose or confuse the audience on purpose. But, because you're trying to hide something, but you're not necessarily creating the tension. You could create tension with a misdirect, but a misdirect isn't necessarily creating tension, if that makes sense.
I got
All right. So, anyway, with that said, what are some things that stand out to you in a story? Like, let's say you're reading a book, right? Or let's start with a book. So you're reading a book. The first, let's say, 20 pages. What is something that stands out to you? What are you noticing?
The first 20 pages are usually how the author is able to basically world build, and whether or not I feel like I'm actually immersed within that world. That's like the first thing that pops out, and then the way they develop their protagonist, and whether or not I feel that character is relatable or not. If I'm able to be like, oh, I can see, I can understand this person's emotions and their decision making.
Interesting. So what you're talking about actually should be distributed throughout the entire story. So world building should actually be created.
I get that. What I'm saying is what stands out to me is their ability to do so, because you can get a pretty good idea of how someone's able to bring you into the world within the first 20 pages. Whether or not you can be like, oh, this person's actually going to take the time to explain and make me feel like I'm part of this thing, or they're just going to be like, oh, they walk through the woods.
Well, or they could just be exposition filled, and that's boring as heck.
Yeah.
Right. But the true point of the first 20% of a story is actually to explain the rules of the world, not necessarily world building, but the rules of the world. So if there's magic or no magic, or what's the politics, whatever. But the purpose of Act 1 in any situation is ultimately to show their real world, their normal world. So what is their normal world when we enter this story? Who are they? What do they do? Why do they do it? Things like that.
Why do they leave the door unlocked?
So I'm doing a show alone today. Why is the door unlocked really wouldn't have anything to do with anything other than, it might actually be the inciting incident, right? Oh, why is the door unlocked, right? So that might change the world we know into the changing world, right? So the world we know would be it's just basic stuff. Like when Lord of the Rings, what do we see? We see them, the hobbits. They're just hanging out, having fun. They're
Eating all day.
They're eating all day. They're about to have a celebration of lights. They're defeating Schmog, right? And then Gandalf shows up, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And like, "Oh my God, Gandalf!" Right? And they're doing right? But there's nothing.
Also, Bilbo's 11th birthday.
But it's his birthday. But also, we're learning where he is in the world now. Even though he has had a story, we're sort of at the end of his story. And we're kind of seeing where he is in his world now. But his world isn't changing per se, But that's the world they live in, right? There's been no major conflict. Nothing has obviously altered them to change them to do something outside their norm, which in turn would be when he gets the ring and, he has to run, right? They're like, run, get out of here, go. We gotta
fly, you fools.
Well, that's later on.
I know. That's a great line.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, that's
the Mines of Moria.
Yeah, but that's that would be the high point of Act 2. So we've already ascended to there. I believe that the Mordor.
Mines of Moria.
Mines of Moria.
The battle.
These are my brothers and cousins. Where are they? They're dead.
They have a troll.
Dead. They have a troll.
Comes in pints. Getting
one. He survived. Yes, Mithril. Mithril. Anyway.
Going back.
So more importantly though, when you read a story, if you notice, a lot of the times it just starts off very very calm, nothing too great. Even if it's starting in a war, like let's say it's action packed, the spy is running through, getting shot at, he's driving the car, like whatever the be. Like if you watch Bond,
Casino Royale.
not Casino Royale. Oh yeah, Casino Royale
literally starts off with him, killing somebody.
Yeah, but the car one would be the Quantum of Solace. So it's because
I actually don't think I've seen one. So.
that's fine. Because the end of Casino Royale, he takes a guy, and basically Quantum of Solace, he has that guy in the trunk, and he's driving the car, and it's. But anyway, that's because that's the world he lives in. We're seeing him in action. This is his normal thing. But then something in Casino Royale leads him to have, because the guy who had the real information for the bomb and everything like that, he ends up dying. Remember, he has he pushes the guy in and he gets shot. Whatever.
I don't remember.
Great. So, what other movies don't you know? Let's talk about Tombstone.
I have not seen Tombstone.
All right.
I don't know Deer Hunter.
How about Deer Hunter? Godfather?
I've seen Godfather.
How about the second one?
Yes, and the third one.
Oh, Jesus. You've seen the third Godfather, but you haven't seen Tombstone. Don't you have any culture, sir?
Yeah, I played guitar.
You're not even Italian, but I'm glad you watched the Godfathers. Both of them.
I said 3. Like I said, both
of them. No God-loving Italian will accept that there's a third Godfather. In fact, let's throw it to the audience. Is there anyone in the audience that's Italian? Is there really a Godfather 3, be honest? Anyway.
We'll check the comments in a couple minutes.
30 minutes in. Let's check the comments. Oh, what happened? It's not me. Nothing going on my phone.
Well, my phone's not even in the same room.
Who? I think. What's this?
Ooh.
Do you like that?
I mean, it's alright.
I don't know.
You can make a necklace out of it.
Why does it hurt when you pee on it?
Probably because you have an open wound.
What?
Into your soul.
I don't know. Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Can you take over the show? I want to get something to go on with the show so we have something more informative. Talk about anything.
Talk monkey stuff.
Talk about how you create the narratives in your music without because it's all instrumental. So how do you come up with the narratives? Because I definitely don't need to be here for this.
Well, when I'm coming up with the narratives for the music that I write, that is the instrumental music, a lot of times I'll just start with a basic emotion. I'll kind of just let myself free write for a little bit, and then after I have the basis, the foundation of a song, I'll basically come back, listen to it, as unbiased as possible, and go, oh, this is what I'm thinking of at the moment, and I'll start crafting a story around what I'm feeling, and then from there I'll kind of just take the story and write out in my head, and I'll basically write the next parts to go along with moving the story along. But each song is kind of comes from a different inspirational point. I mean, I've had stuff that just comes from like, oh, I'm feeling a certain way today. I'll start writing, and I'll just feel inspired to do that. But there's I've written a song called Modern Prometheus, which is based off of the story of Frankenstein, and the idea of a human playing God and then not taking responsibility for their own actions. And so that one's based off of the story of Frankenstein. And then I have another song called The Sleeper Has Awakened, which is based off of the Dune series, because I just really, really, really like Dune. So that one is about Paul Atreides, who's the protagonist from the first book, and it's about his basically enlightenment throughout the entire first book of the Dune series. And I think it's fascinating how Thomas, when he writes, he basically has, over the past 20 years, has built up an entire world that basically crosses multiple platforms. And I feel at this point when he writes, he pretty much just goes, oh, I'm going to tell the story of this person. I feel like it just kind of comes naturally to him. I don't think he really has to do all the work, because he did the work when he was 4 all at once.
But how do you come up with your stories? What is the narrative?
How
does the narrative, the music affect the narrative? Repeat my question.
Thomas is asking how I write my stories and how do I come up with the narrative. That's a really good question. Well, for the ones that are based off of books, the narratives are based off of the books.
How do they influence the music?
How they influence, he's asking how they influence the music. Basically, I just think of whatever the scene is, and as the scene progresses, I write, write a section for each scene within within the story, or whatever the main points of the book or the main points of the story. Each section of the song is the next part of the narrative. So let's say it starts off, like usually at the beginning I'll just be like, this is the overall theme that we're going with, and then I'll work from there. And then if I'm writing something original, like I said, a lot of times I'll just be feeling inspired with a certain emotion, and I'll start with something, and that'll trigger, this is what's unraveling in my head, and then I'll just kind of let the story play out as as it will. Kind of just do the Stephen King thing and just let it flow out of me. And then after I'm done, I'll go back and edit afterwards and see, basically just clean it up and make it cohesive.
Is it?
Yes. He asked if that was it, everyone. And that was a yes.
It's good. It's good.
See? He said it was good. He gave me praise. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm gonna tear it apart.
He also just said he's going to tear apart my writing process. Now he's giggling. Well, I'm curious, being that you have some more experience in narrative writing, and not just in music, but in stories, in books, in script, and writing screenplays.
Yeah.
What's your process when it
I
comes
have
to?
no idea.
You're just blanking like you have an entire graphic novel written out.
Well, no. So listen. The way I do it is I just write music, and then I give it some time. I'll step back and I'll just listen to it and I'll be like, oh, this sounds good. That makes sense to the narrative. And then that's it.
Perfect.
Now, see, the secret to narrative writing when it comes to music is you have to know how narrative works. And that's why it's good to understand even how a novel works. But the thing is, you read a lot of books.
I do read a lot of books.
So for you not to be able to, write music with because your narratives, they could be anything you want because there's no words. So like my question was always like, well, what makes you decide these musical moments, and yours as well, if it sounds good or if they work together, or I sit back and I go, but what is ultimately starting?
Well, that's not you're. It's not that they sound good and they work together just as music.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'll come up with the scene, the story in my head, and I'll go along and make them work with the scene that's going on with the story as I'm writing it.
But what so if you think it's an aggressive scene, you'll make the music aggressive.
If it calls for it.
But what makes it call for
it? Whatever you can have there's stuff that I've written where there's a section in the story where it is it's a very big epic battle scene. There's stuff going on, people are dying. It's the make or break moment. But even in the middle of in that scene, it builds up, but there's a moment where things kind of back off a little bit, even though there's all this chaos going on. Because the idea is that the main character is taking everything in. So you're just focusing on him and his thoughts. He's taking that moment to be able to be very introspective, realizing that this is the moment of truth. Things are either going to go our way or they're not going to go our way. And then comes to the big crescendo, obviously.
Yeah, crescendo.
And then you have the resolve, and then it goes out.
All right. Well, that's fair. I liked it. Let's move on. All right. Anyway, so act one in a song to me would be 15 to 25% of the song. But how does the intro of that song bring us in? What is the mood? That's how I write. So what is the mood, the element of the song? What is the theme I'm looking for? So obviously, if I want to make it more doomy, I think, well, how do I bring us into that doom, right? Or maybe I think, maybe I want to start off more epic, but the song is about falling into the elements of doom. So,
So one way or another, there's a doom involved.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just using it as an example so you can follow. So I have to determine where the theme starts. And that theme, I know, needs an intro. So the intro, and you're very familiar with my music, a lot of the stuff changes a lot. So even Cold Touch.
Right? Very rarely do you have them repeat.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is if it does repeat, it's slightly altered.
Yeah.
And
it's evolved.
It has evolved. So in Cold Touch, if you listen to it, it starts off kind of clean, like doom, 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 right? It's like it has this, but then it gets the heavy gong, 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 right? And then it's chunky, but then when it comes back to that, like 4 minutes later, the character has evolved over the story, so that part actually has more of a gallop, right? So it's still the same.
Intense.
It's not that it's more intense. There's nobody sleeping under the tent.
Well, you were.
No, it's not that it's more intense. The character or the story has evolved. So they're no longer the structure of their composed moment in the beginning of the song. That's very important for me in a narrative. There has to be change, because if there's no change, then where is the character growth? No one's going to enjoy that story. If you're watching, let's say we watch a movie or you read a book, and the character who you read in the first 25% and they show you their real world, by the end of the book, they're literally the same person. You'd be like, you would lose interest just because there's no growth to that character. There's no way you're going to live 10 years and then be the same person. It's impossible.
That's why I don't like the film version of Clockwork Orange, contrary to most people's opinions.
Look, everybody's entitled to their own stupid. No, I hate that movie.
Yeah,
I like that Darth Vader. That's it. He's the guy who carries them around on the wheelchair all the time. That's Darth Vader. That's the body of Darth Vader. Anyway,
that's fun.
So in my music, I have to make sure that the intro is representing the theme. And then ultimately, I have to say to myself, what is the ascending conflict of the story? And if you listen to the lyrics, because I do the lyrics, there is the story itself is going from a scene to an ascending moment of conflict, and then the descending of conflict, meaning that the midpoint has influenced the character in some way that's distorted its life from the original beginning, and now they're descending with that new information, and then they have to resolve it in Act 3. And in Act 3, which is the conclusion and putting it's wrapping everything up and it's putting it all together. My songs, they basically come together, and sometimes I'll end with the beginning, and the reason is but the beginning will be slightly different, and the reason
like Welcome to the Moon.
Well, yeah, Welcome to the Moon.
4 hours of it.
The song's only 38 minutes. No, well, Welcome to the Moon, if you notice, the outro, though it feels like the intro,
it's slightly different.
There is a slight difference to it. It's more mellow. It's more like
And then you have like the one thing that repeats like 6 minutes in, but it's not repeated. It's still slightly different. I forget the riff at this point.
It is.
It's
How's that go? Anyway.
Do you need a lozenge?
I do.
Do I need to call like
So,
a doctor or something?
In writing,
ambulance?
look, as long as you want to stop. So,
I mean, I never want to stop.
just let that body keep on going.
Don't you stop?
Anyway, so these are my notes, by the way. I wrote all this stuff out so we can talk. So in Act 1, you have a couple of blocks. So you have Block 1, you have Block 2, and you have Block 3.
Lego blocks. Gotcha.
Who are you? All right. So in Block 1, we call this basically, this is known as the introduction of our hero or protagonist in their ordinary world. This is their world uninterrupted, uninfluenced. Okay? Now, if you're writing a song, again, this might be a riff or an intro verse or maybe the chorus, might start off with the chorus. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this little moment has to be 25% because Act 1 is 3 blocks long. So you literally have to set up the world. Where are they in their situation? What is going on now before the conflict or the inciting incident, right? And then you go to Block 2, and Block 2 is pretty much, you have to, a problem is created that disrupts the hero's life. So there has to be something that basically says, hey, I know you're doing that, but there's an issue you got to deal with. You're going to have to deal with this, okay? So Maybe it starts off the story, you're in prison, you're being tortured. That's your ordinary
I
life,
hate when that happens.
right? But then something happens where, there's an earthquake and your shackles are loosened from the wall and the door opens up.
That's really convenient and nice. Thank you to the gods of convenience.
Yeah, that's called terrible writing, but I'm just using it as an example. I may have seen that in several books, but now a problem disrupts, and the hero's like, why? What is the problem in that situation? Even though it seems like there isn't a problem, what is the problem?
Everything.
Like, what? No, seriously, like, think about it. We're trying to teach people.
It just,
What's your favorite color? The one that's nice.
I guess we're not really getting established to the rules of the world, other than just, oh, you're doing this, but like.
All right, you want me to explain it?
Yes, please.
I'm trying to get you involved here.
I know.
You're like, I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't understand. Well, what situation was he in before the earthquake released him from the wall and opened the door?
Crappy one. He's being tortured and he's in jail.
So we know enough information that he's in some sort of prison and he's being tortured.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but now his hands, or at least his chains, have been released from the wall and the door opens up. This has changed his world. What is the issue right now? What is the problem you foresee as a writer? What would you see as the tension, the disruption of the person's world?
Well, now he's free to go run around and
Is he?
escape, potentially.
Is he?
Well,
He's in a prison. He's in a room, right?
he's able to leave the room if he chooses. But other than that, there's no other information.
Well, there's plenty of information. We know that he's in a prison. We know that he gets tortured. So this isn't a nice place. We know that they don't like him. We know he might be in a situation where he does not get along with the environment that he's in. But now, in his weakened state, because he's been being tortured, okay, he is freed of the chains on the walls. He still has chains on his hand, right? And then the door opens. So now his disruption is he can choose to leave that room, but he's going to be entering a whole slew of inevitabilities. There's going to be guards out there. There's going to be probably other, assuming.
Well, if this is as convenient as he just so happens to get free, maybe all the guards have been killed by rocks falling on their heads.
It's not necessarily convenient. I mean, there's a chance that he's not free yet.
Well, I'm saying.
Just because nah, you think he's free because he no longer is attached to the wall and the door is open, but he's still in prison.
He is still in the prison.
So that's not technically convenient writing, because you could even make it so when the door opens, you notice other doors are open or walls have collapsed because of the earthquake and there's other prisoners out. So now it's not a matter of convenience, it's a matter of storytelling. The earthquake influenced the disruption of the prison, and now guards are going frantic. But you're wounded as a character, they're definitely going to notice you, because if they're putting time into beating your ass, they're going to put time into making sure you don't get out, right?
Yeah.
So your world has disrupted. Why?
Because it is completely different than it was 5 minutes ago.
That's right, because your world was structured. You be in your prison cell, you get beat up, and you stay attached to the wall. Now you're not attached to the wall, the door's open, you got to make your way out, right? Which brings us to block 3. The hero's life changes direction, right? So what would this be?
Going from north to south.
All right, so let me explain. So if the character escapes, they still technically are in a world of prison. Why?
Because they are an escaped convict.
Because they're an escaped convict. But this creates the inciting incident. What if, while escaping, right, they're helped by some other prisoners? Or, more interestingly, maybe one of the prison guards help them.
Ooh.
Right?
What they twist.
Right? So, but now we have to create the inciting incident. Listen, I can't leave the prison. I'm stationed here. But if I don't tell anyone, can you please tell my wife and child A, B, and C, or that, whatever the case may be. Maybe that prison guard is like, I'm going to let you live because I got wounded. I'm going to die. But I need you to tell my wife and child A, B, and C. will you please do that? And I'll make sure that I'll tell them when they find me that I found you, under rubble and your body was just destroyed or whatever, give you time. That is the inciting incident, because now you have a choice. This person's helping me escape. They were a prison guard, but am I a good person or a bad person? They need me to tell their wife and kid about the situation, blah, 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 right? And that's a choice. But now the person's whole world is disrupted. Because in your first act, musically or in any situation, even comedy, you have to set up that world, create that disruption of the world, which is sort of like, I walked in on my mom peeing once, which was kind of awkward until I realized her really nicely shaped back was facing me. And I was like, oh, she works out. And, and now you're setting up the scene. And then you're like, well, she wasn't peeing standing up, you perverts. She has a colostomy bag, so she has to kind of spray it out. But, now you're creating the story, right? So, but anyway, the whole purpose of Act 1 is really to create the beginning, the inciting incident, sound thoughts of the character, and basically creating the rules of the world. And you want to climax at Act 1. Now, what would be the climax in what I just basically created for you?
About your mom peeing or the guy escaping?
The prison story. The climax would be that she has a bag of pickles.
Well, the climax is that he now has a choice. Well, with the guard, because he's
Is that the climax?
Because that would be the end of the scene, would it not?
Oh, maybe.
Because that's like, we get established to the world, which is him being tortured in prison, being shackled to the wall. And we have his world being disrupted by him being freed and the doors opening, and he has the ability to go out and run. But then he comes across the wounded security guard, who's like, I'll let you go. Just go tell my wife and kid,
So is that the climax?
The choice?
The choice would be the inciting incident. It's like Act 2. There's the ascension, right? And then there's the climax of Act 2, and then there's the descension from climax. The climax technically is sort of like the high point of that act, but it's not necessarily the resolve of choice. So we get to a certain point where it's like this place is falling apart. There's a lot of craziness going on.
So would the climax be leading up before he meets that guy?
The climax probably would be right before that person was met. The climax is like
the actual escaping, like
going
through what's
going through it. Is he or she going to get caught? Not getting caught? Maybe they fall, because you could have multiple disruptions in any act to slow you from completing your mission at hand, whatever that mission might be.
Like multiple creatures in Dungeons and Dragons.
Like multiple creatures in this guy over here.
I like dragons.
I like dragons. I want to play D&D with you, but never have any dragons, but you're always hunting for them.
Oh.
And then one day there's like a guy who's dressed up like a dragon. And he's like, yeah, some guy named Dungeon Master told me to surprise you.
What's your name?
Bill. I'm really mostly on my break. Can we just hurry this up? Rawr.
He's using a lighter.
Yeah, it's like a fire breather, though, with the lighter. Dude, that'd be so fun. Did you get your dragon in?
All right.
I gotta get back to work folding boxes.
I guess.
Bye. See you later. Hey, Jim! All right. Jim is my recurring character. That and Javier, but we'll never meet him. All right.
Oh.
So Act 2. Act 2 would be considered the conflict. So obviously the conflict in this situation would be that he escaped. So do they know he escaped? Will they find out that he escaped? Will he make it to the wife and child? Will he even go to the wife and child? Will he survive because he's wounded? Right?
Find out next week. Same bad time, same bad show.
But then that wouldn't be Act 2.
Well, but the trilogy. It's a 3-part episode.
Well, see, in a story, to be complete, even on one page, you need Act 1, 2, and 3. In a song, 1 minute long or 10 minutes long, you need Act 1, 2, and 3. If you're going to have multiple songs or multiple storybooks or multiple movies, you have what's known as the...
you need movement within the movement.
Yeah. But you need Act 1, 2, and 3 for the whole thing and then each individual thing. You could even have mini acts. Did you know that? Mini act arcs. So you as a character would have an arc. And your arcs would be displayed by Act 1, 2, and 3 if you wanted to. And it could literally be within 30 seconds.
I wonder what me as a character, like JD as a character would be. As
It'd be amazingly boring.
Oh,
No, it'd be good. I would totally.
ignore that book series.
No, I would watch it, or at least buy it and leave it on my shelf and just tell people, yeah, I own that book. Have you read it? Oh yeah, I've read it. It's good.
I've totally read the cover.
Yeah. The last page was amazing. Really? Yeah, it says, "Thank God you've made it this far." Your life would be an interesting story. Let's talk about you.
I don't want to.
You sure?
Yes.
Oh, this is good. Tell us how Act 2 would be a part of your life. What would Act 2 of your life be? I know what it is, but what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like I'm in Act 2 right now, maybe, but I could be wrong. Maybe this is Act 3. I just don't know.
Well, this could be Act 2 of another story.
Maybe we both have gotten in and out of several stories.
Oh, I definitely have. I'm 42.
So basically, you're in Thomas Bellezza, the next generation.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
We have to be careful. We get to like Thomas Bellezza Voyager or Thomas Bellezza Enterprise.
I've already done Thomas Bellezza Voyager. Very exciting stuff.
Oh yeah.
I've watched one or two people. They asked me to.
That's voyeur.
A voyeur? Whatever, Star Wars. Anyway. So Act 2, basically Act 2 is the conflict. And again, there are three major blocks in Act 2, right? So you have the crisis of the new world. So what would the crisis of the new world be for this person who escaped prison?
The crisis in the world is the conflict of getting caught again.
Well, yeah. Well, they are an escapee, right? That's the crisis of the new world. They are no longer a prisoner. Let me hear this.
Would there also be a second crisis with the fact that there is this, mystical, magical earthquake that's been going on? Is this something that occurs naturally all the time, or is this like a supernatural phenomenon even for that world?
It happens naturally. It's called an earthquake.
Well, is it like tectonic plates, or is it like, oh my god, there's like an interdimensional being coming
Who
through?
said there was any magic in this room? We didn't introduce magic in the first act. No, we didn't. Earthquakes aren't magical. Have you ever been to California?
Yes.
Oh, that is a magical place. It's not a weirdness over there.
There's definitely a lot of
So much weirdness over there. Jesus. So you think an earthquake is magical?
I think an earthquake that magically unlocks you from the wall and opens your prison door.
It didn't matter. No, because it affected the whole prison.
Right. Conveniently.
It's not. How is it convenient if the whole place, when the door is officially open, they leave the prison, the cell, they see that other doors are open, some walls have fallen, people are going frantic. The earthquake disrupted the structure of the building. That's not convenience. Convenience
It would be magical if it just interrupted the entire prison and nothing else. We haven't established that yet.
We could have in Act 1, though.
But we did in this conversation.
Listen.
I'm listening.
The other thing is, it would have been convenient if when the earthquake hit, the cell wall fell down and the person could have just walked out the cell. That's convenient. But there's a new conflict or new tension is when the door opens into the prison. Mm-hmm. And the prison has all the conflict in it. We have the escaped prisoners running around. We have the wall, pieces of wall still collapsing. Ceiling is collapsing. Some of the prisoners, the guards are hurt. See, that's not convenient. How is that convenient? Let me hear the story, Joe. Explain to me how that is convenient.
Well, because he's able to get out.
He's not able to get out. We have not discovered that yet. If he walks out that cell door, is he able to leave the prison?
We'll find out.
But
he's able to walk out of the cell.
But that's not escaping his situation. In fact, it's putting him in more danger. Why?
Because he can now get attacked and beaten up.
Well, yeah, he left his cell where if he stayed in there, he's behaving. But if he walks out of the cell, he can get attacked by the other guards or the prisoners. So you're saying it's convenient. I'm trying to understand how that would, not that I'm ever going to write the story, but it's interesting because we do have a conflict in storytelling. Like, I put some time into it and then you just like what's cool, right? And see, in this situation, you're saying there's convenience. And I'm trying to understand why is it convenient? Because he has not been able to leave the prison easily. He now has the next conflict. Convenience means there's no conflict.
Well, it's convenient that he has the opportunity to escape.
So all the other prisoners that have gotten out of their cells, that's all convenient.
It is all convenient for them to have the opportunity to escape. It is not a convenient situation that they've been put into. It is more convenient than being locked
It's convenient.
It's more convenient than being locked up to a wall, not being able to, escape torture.
All right, but there's a difference between convenience and storytelling. The storytelling is like, holy crap, an earthquake happened. Now, what do you feel if like the earthquake happened and like the chains was still kind of attached to the wall, but he has to give it a little tug? Is that still convenient? You know, he had to put a little effort into that, and he pulls it off.
No, that's really convenient.
Why is it convenient? So the earthquake is convenient.
Because it allows for everything to happen. But there's...
So what you're saying is anytime somebody gets on a horse to go on a journey, you go, oh, that's convenient. They had a horse.
Well,
why can't they walk?
If the horse magically appears...
But it did, because we didn't know he had a horse until he walked out of the building that we started with. Oh, he has horses? That's convenient. Oh, there's a barmaid that he has money in his pocket? That's convenient. How did he get the money in his pocket? That's just convenience. Just go ahead. Your turn.
Well, let's say we're reading a story.
We are.
About, medieval England.
Yeah.
And we're following around a prince or a king or a knight.
Yeah, it's convenient. Bilbo has the ring.
Yeah, no, just because of like establishing who they are,
and,
like their status, there are certain things that you would assume without having to say right off the bat. So let's say we're reading a book about King Arthur.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, here I'm, King Arthur, blah blah blah, doing your thing, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple pages in, you go to his stable and gets a horse. It's assumed that someone of King Arthur's status, any king in general, would have
absolutely, and that's convenient. Based on what you just said.
No, but if you have
convenient, he's the king. Why is he a king? Well, that's convenient. That kills the story. Now he has all the money.
A prison who just happened to have, he's in the prison. I'm assuming.
I'll tell you what's convenient about King Arthur. He was able to pull the sword out of the stone and no one else was. Why? That's convenient to me.
Well, in the story, they establish it that. The whole idea of the sword and the stone, they build up the tension and the magic behind him pulling it from the stone. So they built up that part before it's convenient.
I don't know.
What I'm saying is convenient about the guy getting out of the prison is the fact that you have it, or at least from the way I'm understanding the way you've told it, is that you have someone who's been in prison, he's being tortured.
Yeah.
He's been there for a while. It just so happens that this earthquake happens.
Like in California, it's convenient when an earthquake happens.
It's not, but
why not? Oh, wait.
You have a place in California where if earthquakes happen all the time, most things are pretty earthquake-proof at this point in time.
Yeah, but not in medieval times. There's nobody with a scientific architectural degree going, let's see, there's an earthquake. Well, there are some people, but like they're called Mudouts. But anyway, there are some actually in the down in South America and stuff like that. They have some building structures that still exist that had like tectonic like building blocks, and they've lasted over the earthquakes. But again, they still are collapsed, but some walls still stand. And like, oh, these walls are still standing, but like the building itself has collapsed.
Well, now that we have a little bit more of the story.
Now it's not convenient.
It's less
This guy, I can't. You know what? How about you write a story, a 2-page story? I'll write a 2-page story. We'll see who's more convenient. We're like, why is it? Oh, he's in a hut. Oh, he has a girl. They make love. He's fighting dragons. He wins the dragons. He has a magic sword.
As convenient as possible, because I can totally win.
No, I know. Without even trying. Anyway, so Act 2. It's convenient. So you can.
Like, if you want to have write the most convenient story, I can totally win.
No, I want you to write the least convenient story.
Oh yeah. No.
He's in prison. He can't get out. Why not? It's not convenient. Oh,
the end.
So how
do you make that 2 pages? Well, most of it's just
him struggling.
Goes back to sleep
several times. Oh, well, that's convenient. Anyway, so Act 2, it's crises of the world. So in this situation, it would be that he's now in a
convenient. Continue.
Don't you have to go to the bathroom for 4 hours? So crisis of the world would be that he escaped, and he's basically, will they or will they not know that he escaped? Will they catch him? Will they not catch him? Right. Then you have Hero Explores New World. This is the Block 5. Right now in Block 5, ultimately what's going on
is all within the 3rd act.
No, we're still in the 2nd act, buddy pants.
Ugh.
How did you get to the 3rd act? Are you even listening?
Sometimes.
Are those headphones on? Because I turned mine off a while ago.
I drifted.
Do you hear yourself? No, not at all. Anyway, so the hero explores a new world, meaning that in their current situations of the crisis of the new world, as they're ascending to the climax of Act 2, they're discovering the world as it is now. So like, obviously they're trying to hide more because they don't want to be seen. Or what if they're well known? You know, like, oh, I don't want to be. Maybe they're trying to find people that can help them again. How long have they been in prison for? So all these things would be about them exploring this new world as it is, right? And then block 6 of Act 2 would be finding a solution, right? Now, finding that solution would be like, all right, I found out where the wife and kid live, right? But now it turns out what the prison guard was talking about was true, and somebody else got to him before I can. This guy saved my life technically, so I'm going to do what I can to save his wife and kid. So I have to find a solution. All right, now
Well, turning out that our prisoner is not too bad of a guy.
some prisoners aren't too bad of a guy, you know, or a girl, you never know. So anyway, they're in Act 2. I write my Act 2s in 2 parts. All right, so I have my ascending Act 2 to the climax, and then I have my descending Act 2 from the climax. So the ascension is basically getting to the point where the most craziest thing in the world can be happening for that person's life, and they ultimately, like, their world is going to fall apart at that point.
So basically, you write up. So the first half of your Act 2 is they get to Alcatraz, and then up to the point where like, everybody dies. And then the main characters have to like figure out what to do from there.
No. In Lord of the Rings, the ascension of Act 2 is from the ring to the mines of Moria. That's the ascension to the climax.
Yeah, well, that's what I said I was doing The Rock.
Yeah, well, we're going to use something that's a little bit easier.
But The Rock's awesome.
Oh, you're talking about, I thought you were talking about the movie, because there is another movie,
Rock.
Alcatraz.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about.
Oh, The Rock. In The Rock.
Yeah, because Act 2 is when they get to Alcatraz.
No.
And then up to the point where.
That's incorrect.
Oh, what's Act 2 then?
Well, we'll start with what's the inciting incident.
The inciting incident.
Yeah.
Is when the rogue Marines end up getting all the chemical warfare stuff, right?
Nope, because no one knows it's happening yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's
well, then they capture the tourists and they make the.
Nope, still not. Why? Because no one knows about it yet.
Well, when they call, they say, hey.
But that's not when they capture the tourists.
Well, if you let me finish my sentence.
Carry on.
When they capture the tourists and they call everybody to let them know.
But the capturing the tourists is not the inciting incident.
So when they make the call announcing they have the tourists.
That's not why they're making a call. Why are they making a call?
So that they can make the demands
What's their demand?
to get money and retribution for all the people that they feel were kind of spurred by the U.S. government.
That's right. So basically, they're fighting for the rights of the Marines, right? That's the inciting, and their families, right? So that's the inciting incident to get the movie going, right?
Yeah.
The world that we know is Nicolas Cage is in the box disarming the bomb with the thing spraying him, and the guy shows the needle and he's like, "You got to put it in your heart." And he's like, "Get that stuff away from me." Yeah, that's still the Act 1. That's still creating the world.
That was an argument.
Right, and then the inciting incident is basically like, look, if you don't do this, we're going to do this with the missiles because we want the money to help these families. We don't care about us, we care about that, right? So they got to bring Nicolas Cage in, who is the best in his field. The moment they call Nicolas Cage is his inciting incident. Because he was supposed to be on break, he was supposed to relax, they were going to get married.
Don't come to San Francisco.
Don't come to San Francisco. Right? So that's technically in the story, that's his inciting incident. So that moment starts Act 2. So now he goes there, and the ascension to Act 2 is the possibility of success. So keep that in mind. It's the discovery of the new world. He's learning about these Team 6 people. He's learning about the people who have the missiles. They're like, we got to get in there. And like, how are we going to get in there? And then what do? They go, let's get Sean Connery. And then Sean Connery is a part of the ascension, though, because we're now introducing him into Act 2 ascension. They get him and they find out he's the badass, right? So then it's real easy, right? They get there, they jump off the boat. The helicopter, they go into the water, they get out there. A stunt double dressed like Sean Connery does the fire thing, and Nicolas Cage is like, Jesus, and he opens the door. And he's like, welcome to the Rock, right? And they go in there, and they're like, ooh, this is great. They're walking through, everything looks great, and what do? They climb up,
and
Everyone dies except for Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. This is the climax of Act 2.
Which is literally what I said.
What do you mean?
I said that when everyone dies, that's the climax of Act 2.
Yeah, I told you I didn't understand what you were saying because you said Alcatraz, and I thought you were talking about the movie Alcatraz, which is a different movie than The Rock. I didn't hear you.
Oh wait, Alcatraz is the... No, I'm thinking... Which one's Alcatraz?
It's the one with Clint Eastwood, and it's actually based on the true story of the three guys swimming out.
Oh, that actually got out.
Yeah, or didn't.
Or didn't.
But anyway, continuing with The Rock, at that moment, that becomes the descension of Act 2.
Also, spoiler alert.
That's fine. Spoiler alert. So now, what's going on here? Sounds like it got something. What's going on here in the movie is as they're descending, Sean Connery's character is like, I'm out of here. I don't want anything to do with this.
He's like, no.
Right? And then Nicolas Cage is like, well, I have to do something. I have to keep going, you know? And this is now they're exploring the new world, all these things, right? And it gets to the point where Nicolas Cage gets caught, and then Sean Connery comes back and goes, all right, let's do this. And now they're finding a solution, which leads to Act 3. So, by the way, in Act 2, you can have multiple obstacles, right? You need a midpoint, which is the big plot twist. In this moment, the plot twist was them getting shot because they looked like they were going to win, right? Then there could be more obstacles, disaster, crisis, and of course the climax of Act 2. Now, Act 3 leads us to 3 new blocks. All right?
So what would be the end of the second half of Act 2?
In The Rock?
In general.
Oh, well,
Because like the peak, the climax of Act 2, or the end of the first half would be...
the first ascension.
The first ascension is them, everyone dying except for Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. So would this end of the end of Act 2 for The Rock, would that be them getting out of the jail cells? And that's the beginning of Act 3?
So, yeah, Act 3 would be... let me, one second. I'm watching the movie.
For those that are not aware, Thomas has photographic memory, so he's able to just kind of like switch off for a second, go inside, rewatch an entire movie, entire TV show.
Yeah, where he's like, there's one thing that really blows my mind is how'd you get out of here? It would be really convenient.
How, in the name of Zeus's
butthole,
did you get out of yourself?
And then he does the thing, and he's like, it's a trade secret. I was like, that part's good. That would probably start Act 3, but when they get caught, that would be the ending of Act 2.
Gotcha.
Because now they have to solve the problem. They're like, what do we do? What do we do?
So that would be the second problem that they have. So the first problem would be the entire team dies, and the second problem is they're caught.
Yeah, they're caught. Well, they're trying to find a solution because they found a solution in Act 2. They're like, let's just go get the missiles and disarm them without them knowing. They think we're dead. Yeah,
they can't fire them without the cabbage.
But the reason they do that is because they believe they're dead. So they think they have a stealthy option. But then they end up having another obstacle of getting caught. Then they escape from that, and it leads them to the next thing.
Because Sean Connery's old, Nicolas Cage is a lab rat.
And I might actually be wrong on the cells because there's a moment after that where Sean Connery's just like, nah, I'm definitely out of here. Or no. That happened right before they got caught.
No, because he's walking away at the very end. Because at the very end, they get out of the cells, and then he goes because it's daytime and not nighttime.
Yeah.
And he just starts walking away. And then Nicolas Cage is like, fire! And he just goes off and gets into like the fist fight with the guy.
Yeah.
The whole punch him in the mouth and just gotta stay up the other parts thing.
All the good stuff. It's so good.
I want to run.
If you're ever going to get married, you're getting married, I recommend you go to this church.
Yeah, I don't know really shot JFK.
Anyway, so Act 3 would be starting with them in the cell. Okay. Well, right after they get out of the cell, because they're like, I'm out of here. And Nicolas Cage is like, I need your help. And he's like, I'm not going to help you. That would be Victory Seems Impossible. All right. And then there's another one, Hero Finds Power. And that's basically when they unite again. And then
this is an Act 3.
This is an Act 3. And then the third block would be Hero Fights and Wins. Okay. Now, there are usually 2 parts to Act 3.
What about when you have a story where in Act 3 the hero doesn't prevail? So let's say in a movie like The Mist, the hero definitely does not prevail in that one.
But the narrative prevails because the army shows up. So the monster... Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. The remake of The Mist, by the way, when everyone kills themselves in the car except for the father, that was like my favorite part of the remake.
That was on the remake. You're talking about The Fog as a remake? The
No.
Mist is Stephen King.
I know, but they made it. There's 2 movie versions of that. The one that they did with what's his name? Well, you know which one I'm talking about.
Frank Darabont? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like the actual ending.
Is it when everyone dies except for him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but
that's the actual ending. I think they all just.
but in the original movie they didn't do that. Is what I'm saying. I'm saying I like that ending better than the original one because I believe there's another one.
I think there is another ending.
Yeah, because I remember seeing a mist with the pirates. Oh no, that's The Fog.
That's The Fog.
That's The Fog.
That's a completely different movie.
Completely different.
Yeah, no.
Both
Like,
suck.
yeah, The Fog. They did a remake in the early 2000s.
I was fogging it.
And then I think the original. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is in the original from like the 70s.
Yeah, something like that. But I know in the mist, when everyone dies, I got misty.
You know. Yeah, there are 2 versions of that movie though. But one is, like how it was in theaters, and then Frank Darabont originally wanted to do the entire thing in black and white. You're like, you're crazy.
Yeah, you can't do that. No. Anyway, so in that situation, basically, the narrative is completed because the army comes and everybody's saved. It's just now he has to live with the consequences of what just happened. But anyway, there is usually like a conclusion after Act 3, like sort of like now the world they live in, what did they learn and who are they now? So there's that. But basically after the climax, what I'm talking about is after the climax, the protagonist and or would have changed. The final scene proves closure to the whole story. And that's basically what happens. Now, ultimately in any story, you're working with 24 points or 24 plot points. You know about this?
I do not.
So it works with a song too. You could take your song and go, what are the 24 plot points? Did I set up the normal world within 6 beats? I hit the end of Act 1. By the 12th beat, I'm hitting midpoint. By the 18th beat, I'm hitting low point, which is like the high point of mid. So forth and so on. And then Act 3 is by the 21st beat, and then by the 24th beat, the song is ending. It's the same thing with jokes. There's like certain beats you can do in like huge.
And just for clarification, you're definitely not talking about like
music beats.
No, you're talking about like
story
narrative
beats. Yeah, narrative beats.
In case anyone was curious. Also, he's not writing electronica and dubstep. He was having a stroke, sorry.
I was having a stroke.
What a genius.
So in music, I write like that too. Like I allow myself to write music with all that structure. I say to myself, how do I create, an Act 1 in my music? How do I create an Act 2 and Act 3? How do I resolve the song? That's always on my mind when I'm writing a poem or music or a script or a novel or even in my self-help book, there is a narrative to it. There's the setup of the world.
Well, even when you're just telling advice to people, there's always that stroke of like you always feel like you're telling a story. Yeah,
well, because every good storyteller has to set it up. There has to be a lesson learned. Like things like that. I think that's definitely the biggest difference between us when it comes to art. Even though I'm usually more of a business person than you are, and you're more of an artist than I am. But I think when it comes to art, I think I still approach it with
very methodically, whereas I just kind of let things flow and then clean it up afterwards.
Yeah, but you do what I call "this looks cool" writing. Like that's how you're like this would be cool, and like then you're like, but does it make sense? And it doesn't always make sense, and that's why you have to edit it more and more and more. But I just let things go and then clean it up afterwards to make sure that things make sense. If it doesn't make sense, I just go, okay, I'm done with this. Yeah, and I just naturally I put it in 2 cents, and maybe I'll have to clean little things up, but not necessarily narrative things. It's just for some reason when I write anything, my brain is already in the process of, well, this is how a story is told, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be similar to every other story. It's just
this is how you. Right. You're very methodical. You have a system. It has to be very organized.
Yeah,
and even if you're being creative.
But even if you start with the quote unquote end of the story in the beginning, that's not necessarily the end of the movie, because the narration of that movie, the narrative of that movie has not been concluded. You're being introduced to the movie at the end, but now we have to understand why they got there. So the sense of story structure is still there. The end is the beginning. And when we get to the end, after we have read, listened to, or watched the narrative unfold, that beginning now, which was the ending, has some sort of conclusion to it. It now makes sense contextually.
This is the end.
My
only friend, the end.
Love, that sweet thing in your eyes. If there's any ladies out there that like my voice, feel free to shut the radio. All right.
Also, if you listen to this on the radio, I'm confused.
I'm confused. All right. Come once again. Right. You know. All right.
That was Thomas falling to his doom.
How many dooms does that song have?
4. All right. Well, I love the laundry. Then we got some time.
For every minute, one doom. So anyway, so a lot, when people hire me to write stories, those are the things I'm looking for. Does the story have a conclusive narrative? Like what makes sense? What the why? You always hear me say that. Why?
Well, that's also something really important because, like, within that's something we haven't really touched on yet. Because we're just talking about like the overall narrative.
Yeah, the structure.
Yeah, is that like characters basically have to have motivation to do stuff.
Yeah,
that's something that you I hear you point out a lot when you're talking to clients or when you're working with people on like writing scripts or whatnot.
Or even music, bro.
Bruh. You're just like, why though? Like, if you say someone has like a character, like, oh, would it be great? This character did this, and you'd be like, okay, that'd be great, but why?
Yeah, why? Well,
Like,
because it has to make sense.
Exactly.
It can't just be cool. It can't just be like, I like the way that sounds, or feels, or looks, or it'd be a great moment.
It could be a cool moment, but if there's no actual motivation to get that character to go do that thing, then it's just pointless and it isn't cool because there is no reason for it to happen.
Yeah, you can't have resolve if there's no motivation, and a lot of times, there's a term called killing your babies, and that's, you might write like a story or a song and just be like, I love this, it sounds great how it is, but it doesn't necessarily make sense. And when it comes to art, I won't let my business brain get into it, but I still allow my art brain to say, how does this help the narrative of the overall story? Yes, it's a cool scene, or it sounds cool, or it looks cool, or this would have been a great character moment, but does it make sense to narrative? In fact, when you see a movie, the first part of creating that movie is the director, right? Obviously there's the writer that creates the story, but the director takes the story and films it.
Star Wars, I think, is a really good example because that went through 42 different versions, basically.
Well, we don't know what you're talking about because we haven't gotten to that part yet. So, why did it go through 40-something? Just tell us the ending.
Darth Vader, Force, laser swords.
Okay. So it went to just
Muppet Bear.
So the director takes it and films it, and then there's 42 different versions of Star Wars. Do you see what you just did there with the narrative?
Well, yes. It didn't make any sense.
Didn't make
the conclusion.
You just what
say.
you did was you got to the cool part. Hey, did you know Star Wars had 42 different variations because of the editing process? But you didn't go through the narrative. And that is why I say to you often, your music is missing a full, complete narrative. Some parts don't make sense when they go into each other, or it goes too long, or it goes too short, whatever the case. Well, you won't hear me say it goes too short.
Wow.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you just did. In fact, you even took the punch out of the story. You just ruined the comedian's punchline. Where someone going, hey, two guys walk into a bar, and you go, because they hit a bar. You don't even say you think one of them would have noticed. You literally just went, hey, it's because they both ran into an actual bar and got hurt. That's what it is. So you take the narrative out.
You're welcome.
Anyway, I want to go back to the story, but I feel it's frivolous now.
No, let's go back to this one.
No, why would I explain it? No, go ahead. You explain the 42 different.
No, it's okay.
Tell me why there was 42 editorial and what the point of that story was supposed to be about the director and what else.
Well, what I was going to say is
Go ahead.
that it started
Make
off
my
with
point.
the original screenplay, which is the idea,
Yeah.
and it was written down. Then
Uh-huh.
you had the director who came
Go
along,
ahead.
made the film,
Yeah.
filmed everything, but then you go through different edits
Mm-hmm.
in the editing room.
So what was my point?
I don't know.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No,
You got
it's
this.
okay,
You know exactly what I was going to say. Go ahead.
I don't know exactly what
No,
I'm going to say.
you jumped on it. Let me hear it.
I said what I was going to say about Star Wars.
Yeah, but
Where
then
you have the original version, which is a script, and then you have like what George Lucas is like, oh, let's do this, and then you have the final edited version down, which is a completely different story than what was written and then what was filmed.
So what's the point?
Killing your babies. Because the idea is that you start off with something, and then as you're going through the creative process, you realize it's, just because you have something written down, you have an idea, it doesn't necessarily mean that's a good idea. As you're implementing it, oh, maybe it doesn't really make sense, so let's change things this way it actually makes sense. So it flows better.
So what was the point I was trying to make?
I don't know what you're trying to make. I was just trying to tell you what I'll say.
Yeah, I'm just figuring since you took it over, we'll let you have the floor.
It's all right. You're good.
No,
You're
no, 42 different editing changes.
I gave you permission.
Why did I bring up the director?
Because he directs.
What was the point of me bringing up director? What do you think the next thing I was going to say?
I have no idea.
So why did you say 42 times?
Because I had an idea. You inspired me, so I wanted to go with the inspiration. So thank you for being my muse for the thought that I had that interrupted the flow of this narrative.
Yeah, you did the cool part, but it made no sense. So you're basically you're Zack Snyder. He films all the really cool scenes, but they don't make any sense together.
Meh. I mean, Zack Snyder is making a lot more money with the Justice League.
Is he really?
I mean,
Why do you say that?
I assumed.
Oh, what do you mean? They did let him film more scenes. Did you hear about that?
They're filming more scenes, or are they just?
Well, you brought it up. I figured you knew.
You brought up Zack Snyder.
Yeah, I brought him up as a joke, and then you were like, "Yeah, well, he's making money." He's not making more money with Justice League, but when he decided to film more scenes, he actually got paid for that.
Right, so they're not just using stuff that was cut out. They're actually
I
making.
don't know. You tell me. You brought it up.
You
You said he was making money with.
You brought up the
He's
making more scenes.
Justice League. 42 different edits. Do you know who suggested the first edit
I don't.
of Star Wars?
I assume the editor. I don't know the name.
I'm going to throw out the best part of the story without actually.
Well, why don't you fill out some of it?
I don't know, except for the fact that it was Steven Spielberg, because they were watching the movie and a pre-screening of it, which is basically what they do is they take your dailies, which have to be edited at the time because they're using film, and then they go into a screening room or a daily room, and he allowed a select small group of friends to watch it, and Steven Spielberg said, "This is terrible. You need to do A, B, and C." And Lucas was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "You should." They also made a handshake deal that they would get, I think, 1 or 2% of each other's gross.
That's teamwork right there.
That's what best friends do. They're completely, they grew up together. So, and anyway, so a director, if I may, going back. So about killing the babies and everything like that. A lot of times story doesn't come down to just the storyteller. One half of a movie is the director's vision. The other half is the editor's input. And it's not that the editor's saying, get rid of this scene or get rid of that scene. They're not doing that. The first edit is usually an editor putting the story that they get together based on script, the scenes, and finding the best scenes that tell the story. While they're doing that, on the second run through, they might find that a scene needs to be shorter or longer. Sometimes that's why they'll go out and do more. They go, hey, we got to do pickups. We got to get a couple more shots in there. So a story isn't necessarily always done just because you feel it's done. There is a creative process, but the reason there's a director is to tell the story visually, and the editor tells it chronologically, like they take it and they make it into something. But the 42 thing that you brought up about Star Wars was that he was told that it was terrible. And they were like, you have to change it. But that didn't come down to the editor, per se. It came down with groupings of friends. It came down to the studio. It was a whole bunch of people that were just like, you can't show this film. But it also didn't have the special effects. It didn't have the sounds. Sometimes it would like be a cutout way and it says effect goes here, you know, or it would say like, you know, Death Star blows up. You know, and it would just be like,
And they'd be like, what's going on?
like,
This would be terrible.
what's a Death Star?
And then, you know, they just
42 versions.
basically visit ILM and re-up the entire special effects scheme.
Well, but why? When did he do that?
I assume during the process of making the movie or just before.
Before, that's correct.
Because nobody could do what he wanted.
Yeah, so he's like, I'll just get people to do it. Now, did you know that he owns, well, at the time, he owns several companies?
I did not.
Do you know what companies he owns?
I assume ILM.
Well, he definitely owned ILM.
I don't know what are the
What
other
else? What do you
Lucasfilm?
Lucasfilm? What else?
LucasArts.
What else?
Well, I thought LucasArts was...
What about this one?
Oh, he does THX?
THX?
I thought LucasArts was done for when he started doing like games.
Games, that's correct. Now,
But-
why did he do that?
But he did that right at the beginning?
Oh, no, he owned several companies, is what I'm saying. For diversity. I'm not
You're saying in general?
Overall, yeah.
Oh, I think like before he started doing Star Wars, he owned...
No, I asked that question only for ILM.
Gotcha.
But,
Yeah, no, like basically his idea was he wanted to be able
Industrial
to do everything in-house. You don't have to worry about everything.
correct. That is my dream in life, is to be a one-stop shop for affordable one-stop shop for all endeavors.
Well, I mean, that's why we're BBR Productions, Deer Productions.
Well, no, yeah. But Oh Dear is the filming of a project, or the develop, you know. But BBR is the development of the project.
Imperial Incorporated.
Imperial Incorporated, which is the
Everything's Imperial. All your Imperial needs.
Imperial just walks into the room and goes, "Hey, 42 different headings." And we're like, what are you talking about? We're just ordering lunch. We just wanted that out there. 42 different edits. And then he leaves. And I'm telling you right now, it's the only thing he says. He can't say anything else. Don't ask me. There's nothing else that he can say. He just comes in the room. Hey guys, 42 different edits, Star Wars. Believe it or not. And then he leaves. One time I was teaching a class on Lamaze, you know, and he's like, 42 minutes. I was like, what the hell is that? He's like, oh, I'm just saying.
And
Star
everyone's
Wars.
like, "But you gotta talk and talk."
He doesn't talk, he just aggravates. He just says whatever he wants because he had an idea. So he just lets it out.
He's a dog after my own heart.
Yeah, so I want to talk to you about music. 42 edits, Star Wars. What's it have to do with anything? I don't know. What was the point I was trying to make? I don't know. 42 edits. That's all. I just wanted to throw that out there. I needed you to know that I know that. And I might actually not be accurate on the 42 edits.
It's definitely not.
I know it's not 42 edits.
I just don't read that.
Oh my God. That's how he does that with women. He goes, yeah, me.
42 edits.
42 edits. I've edited my penis 42 different times.
Funny story.
I've tried a Puerto Rican penis. I've tried a Jewish penis. If you had the choice, what kind of penis would you take?
I mean, I'm pretty content with the one that I have.
Oh, so you like it. You
I-
like penis.
I mean, it helps me pee in the
Do
snow.
you like your penis? No.
Which I'm actually kind of excited.
I noticed the table's off over there. I can write my name in the snow 42 different ways. Star Wars.
What is the Star Wars logo?
I don't know, but I
But
did it.
it's the proper
Look.
yellow.
42 different ways.
Listen, it took me a while to get the right combination between meat and water in the diet to get the right proper
That's funny.
yellow.
He did it wrong one time. There was a lot of chunks of meat in his beer, and I was like, "You gotta go to the doctor." He goes, 42 different edits. Sits down at the doctor's office. So tell me what's wrong. 42 different edits. Star Wars. You need therapy. I know. Anyway, story time. So going back. Yeah, you need motivations and stuff like that. But you know, the other thing is the why that I always ask people, like why, is because ultimately everything somebody does or doesn't do needs to have the motivation behind it. And if you have a character that's like, let's say, really, really nice and loving and caring, and then out of nowhere they just like belittle someone, it's so out of place. It doesn't like, why would they do that? You know, are they joking or are they not joking? Have they joked before? Are they a jokey character? You know, like sometimes it's the straight person and then it's the funny person. You know, that's why Laurel and Hardy, they stayed in their lanes because one was the straight man and one was the, you know, punchline. So,
Or Jay and Silent Bob.
who? Do you know why Silent Bob asked for 42 edits? Fun fact about
1957.
that's because it's why it's black and white. Do you know why? Did you know Clerks has an original ending?
I love the original ending.
What's the original ending?
There's 42 different endings. 37. The original ending, spoiler alert, is that basically right after the credits roll in like the final theatrical cut.
What?
There's
there's
an extended scene where someone walks in and basically shoots Dante.
What?
Robs the place.
That would have changed the whole world.
I know, right? He wasn't even supposed to be there that day.
They couldn't afford to film a new ending, so they just faded it out. That was their solution. They were just like, we don't have money to film another. Let's just fade it. And that was actually his one of his main guys who has edited pretty much all his movies except for like 2 or 3. And who's like his number one producer guy who now produces his own stuff, etc., etc. But
You
they
suggested the edit?
Yeah.
Mm,
But you knew that.
I didn't know that.
You sure?
So, was the original, was the idea to cut the edit, was it from a test audience or was it from the editor?
No, the editor. They got his friend. Was his friend. He was just like, what?
He was like,
You can't do that. It's too dark. You gotta kill. Can't kill him. Also, Kevin Smith's mother is the woman doing the milk. You know, she's checking the milk. Where did they expire milk?
Oh, that's really
That's
funny.
his mother. And I'm loosely friends with the cigarette guy. You know, where he's like, "You like gum?" See gum. Did you know that Jay was a heroin addict?
I did.
And now he definitely looks like one, but he's healed, and he's a father now.
Well, it wasn't that one of the reasons why Clerks 2 got made? Because Kevin Smith was like, hey, if you get clean, I'll make this.
I think no, because he wasn't clean, but I think if I remember correctly, he made it because he wanted to watch him. He wanted to make sure he didn't like fall off the boat because he was a heroin addict. Dogma was an example where he told him to get his stuff together. He's like, you got to get your stuff together because you're gonna be working with solid actors. And it was the first movie Jason Mewes memorized the whole script. He knew everybody's lines.
Oh, wow.
He cleaned up just so he could be focused, and he's like, but Clerks 2 was so he could keep an eye on him. And then I think, I could be wrong on this one. I think Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the one where like there's like the monkey
Oh, yeah.
and the girl farts and goes the alarm will go up. I believe that one was
Well,
if you're clean, we'll do this film.
because
But-
that came before Clerks 2, I thought.
I don't remember, but I do know Clerks 2 was the.
I'm going to keep going.
I got to keep an eye on his. We'll just film something. But he couldn't abandon him. Like he was just the
Well,
best friends.
best friends was like, they were like little Kevin Smiths
Little Kevin Smith.
and Jay's.
They got a deal on the hotels though. That was interesting. So yeah, because there were so many people. They're like, let's just rent the hotels, and they got like a deal on it.
So that's convenient.
Yeah, well, they went through a corporate. They used their corporation. That's convenient. Damn earthquakes. So having a S corp is convenient.
It is.
For the discounts. That's convenient. Oh, you're old. Oh, you got an AAP card. You know?
Oh, you have better tax write-offs as an S corp?
That's
That would be
convenient. Jesus. Well, I tried 42 other ways, but it just didn't work. Star Wars.
Oh, you're a professional now. You have an S corp.
That's convenient. Probably cost you nothing. It cost me a couple $100.
It's only $35.
It is. It's expensive. I had someone once tell me that it's $1,000+ dollars.
What? I was like, yeah.
I'm waiting because it's really expensive. Yeah, I know, $135. And they're like, what? No, it's a couple thousand. I go, maybe for you. They're like, no, you go through a lawyer. I was like, yeah, no, I don't go through a lawyer. Go through an accountant. It's free. Minus the cost of the escrow.
What?
What?
Hold on. Before we go any further, Several $1,000 to register.
Yeah, there was
escort?
42 minutes. No, look at the face he just now he knows how I feel by saying it. The face you just made was exactly what I mean inside my body.
Even before,
I was just like, what is he doing? What does this have to do with directives?
when you first introduced the idea of like registering as an escort,
Oh, he's still right. You see what he just did there?
like
Terrible listening
my
skills.
imagination
What are we talking
didn't
about? The
even
director?
pretend. It didn't pretend to go that
You
far.
didn't get an escort when I told you to.
You did. I
I
did.
thought it was insane.
I didn't think it was insane. I just didn't do it because I was like, yeah,
Because you're lazy.
I thought that was lazy. I was
I'll
like,
get to it. It's lazy. Touch
right.
it once. That was a rule I taught you.
It is a really tough.
Touch it once. Don't linger on something.
Unless you're in the shower.
How long
then
did it take you? 5 years, right? It's like, but yeah. Well, you don't have to touch it in the shower. But it took you 5 years from the moment I told you.
Like 4 or 5 years.
Jesus, that's insane. The amount of business equity you could have got by having it 5 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you
Looking
say
back.
Star Wars? That face you made is literally what was going through my mind when I was like, director's Boba, and you're like, what? And I was like, where's he going? I'm gonna let him try this. Let me see what's going on.
You're like, this is why JD's not allowed to navigate.
It's like, so what was the point of bringing that up? I don't know. Well, what was the point I was trying to make? I don't know. Well, why'd you say it? I don't know. It came in my brain. I was like, how am I not there? It wasn't even a factual idea. 7,000 edit examples on the Star Wars film. Really? 7,000. Did you know all the Star Wars films except for the Disney-owned ones and the New Hope
We're all
were
independent. I did.
Yeah, it's because I told you.
You did.
Did you know? What did you know before me? You knew the 42 ends before me?
I did not.
Who told you that? Because it's definitely not true.
Oh, I exaggerated it though.
Did you?
On purpose.
Have you? How often do you exaggerate? Because I believe exaggeration is a form of lying.
If I'm telling a funny story.
Oh, let me hear
it. The once was a mess.
It's 12 inches. That is a funny story.
That is a very funny, weird mouse.
That is a weird mouse. Have you ever seen a 12-inch mouse? Because you've lived in New York City.
Then yes, so a rat.
They're all good. Oh, Jesus.
They're terrifying, but also adorable. in a
Yeah,
way.
Splinter exists all over the city. I'm like, what is he doing?
Why does he have so many cousins?
Why doesn't he have any splinters? Why do
My
they call
question
them
is, where are
splinters?
the turtles?
Anyway, what is the narrative of my idea? So when writing, we got to get close to finishing the show. So we explained like how to basically the format of the story. But what is the narrative of my idea? Knowing where you're going with the story will help you kind of break it down into the process of writing, like the formula. And the narrative could be like JD said earlier. I read a book about worms, and I was like,
In the sand.
in the sand, and I was like, this story is doomed to fail. But anyway, doomed. And you were like, that's the story, and then he kind of put it in. But
But like the idea was that, like, were we talking about like when I wrote the song based off of Doom? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah, so that basically just got, for me, I went off, whoa, don't drop anything. All right,
Jesus,
so,
you're right too.
You have a stroke, you have
Yeah,
to call an ambulance.
No, please call an ambulance.
An ambulance. Yeah, so like all the plot points were there, so I was like, when we captured the emotional cues for
All right, so that leads to my question. So did you write out the plot points since there's no lyrics?
I didn't write it down on a piece of paper.
You just had it in your head?
I was like, oh.
That
I'll
works
get-
for you, right?
Most of the time.
So you don't feel writing it down is important.
Sometimes I do.
So when creating, you don't feel it's important.
Again, sometimes I do. For that one, I did.
You were like, it's there, I know it.
Yes.
So in your head, you were like, this is what I'm going to do for the beginning of the song. This is the emotion I'm trying to create. Or was it like sort of like you played a part and you were like, oh, I like that part.
No, I knew like where I wanted. I knew what the theme was that I wanted to go with, and I knew the
Musically.
Musically, yeah.
You were like,
I'm like, I want this feeling. Yeah, pretty much. But there was also like a big circus tent over my head for the inspiration,
oh, yeah.
and like those little dangly like animal things.
How many dangled? Like 42?
At
I'm just
least
exaggerating.
21.
So you were just like, this is the song, this is the plot point.
Yeah, and I just went, this is what this part needs to be. This is what this part
That's all right. I don't write down plot points either. I just write down the lyrics. And then from the lyrics, I write the music. Because I go, how do I get to this part?
Well, I thought you said there's been several songs that you wrote out the music first, and then you're like, oh,
Yeah, but that's not my main writing process. But there are songs where I'm like, here's some music. And I'm like,
No.
let me put lyrics to it.
Well, yeah, if I remember correctly, you said you just kind of like the idea should pop into your head, and then you're like, "Okay, let me do this." But it's very few and far between. You said.
Yeah. Well, I'm a lyricist because I'm a writer first, and then from there I'm like, what is the theme of this? Because
Well, you've always said that like your idea is like you have this world that you've built for the past like 20 or 30 years ever since you know.
I'm 28.
Yeah, so from when you were in the womb.
Yeah.
So
It
like,
took me 42 years to get to 28. I'm definitely there. So when I was in the womb, go ahead, 42.
Yeah, but you have like
Well, that's
this world
funny.
that
It actually took me 42. I am 42. I wasn't even making a joke in reference to the Star Wars thing that you completely made up out of nowhere. I was.
Hello.
Good. All right. So what were you saying in my womb?
Well, I'm saying that you have
Was
this
it
world
spacious
that
in the womb?
it is. You even had a sofa in there.
Oh, that's a nice womb.
Wait. Do you also have a futon that folded out?
No, I had to please get me out of hell.
Oh, okay.
It's hot.
See, the thermostat was only stuck to like 8 million.
Exactly. What's this gonna end? No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Well, you've always said to me when we like talked that when it comes to music, you've always just you've learned musically, like instrumentally enough to get out what was always in your head.
Yeah.
So like you were like that was always your thing. So like you have this story, this world that you're building. You want to be able to write it out. You want to tell the story. But musically, when it came to that, you're like, oh, this is what has to happen, or I was only like practice and figure out how to make this.
Yeah. In my head, I kind of always have it. The only time I don't is like with the poems I've been doing. I've been trying to let the poem, because I'm trying to exercise my writing brain and not try to go in. I'm trying to go in blank and being like, all right, this is the poem. Because the poems don't always have like a structure of a song. There's not always a chorus. It could just be 4, verses within the poem.
So are you writing poems from scratch? Or you take stuff from?
I'm just going through my book. I'm just going through this sheet, which is available on McGibney.com. And for $10, I only make 13 cents. All right, 42.
That's not a lot of sense.
So I look at the lyrics and I go, all right, let me see what I can make out of this. And I'll just kind of fiddle with the guitar and be like, what does this feel like? Does this work with it? But there was a song After All's Done, I kind of had that melody in my head. And then the other song that
Did you have it separately?
or
was
the
it
50s
like,
sounding song, I was like, I want it to sound like it's in the 50s.
did you have that melody in your head like as a separate melody and like, oh, it works? Or were you like looking at the poem and like, oh, this melody works with like.
I looked at the poem and then instantly I was like, this is the feel of the song.
Gotcha.
But the other song, I didn't necessarily have the melody. I just knew I wanted it to sound like it was from the 50s. So I was like. So, but yeah, no, the poem stuff, like some of them, I'm like, I have a thing, but a lot of the times I'm just like, let me just. Because it's an exercise. Yeah, I want to have, because if you came to me and were like, I need a song, I should be able to be like, all right, this is my
Here's the
tool.
song.
Yeah. But anyway. That's the point.
Well, if it's pointy, we should probably put like a little like cushion thing on it too in harder films.
What?
Oh man, I had a question. I
Oh,
forgot what it was going to be.
We have 42 seconds. Go on.
Oh man, I felt that of like.
What does it sound like?
I don't know. Because
Right.
Got gone.
There's these alligators that I once didn't fight.
I wish that
Do you know how many there were?
42.
Oh my god. Were you there?
No,
That's so
it was 3.
convenient.
God.
It's so convenient. There was 42 alligators. I had to fight out.
Yeah.
What do you find more fascinating in the story? An extremely powerful being.
Oh, I remember my
Go
question.
ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Your turn.
So you said basically, well, it goes back to the idea of planning everything out and following the formula. You were saying basically it makes it easier to write the story if you have your key points, your plot points, and you follow the structure of everything. Your Act 1, Act 2, Part 1, Act 2, Part 2, and Act 3.
Yes.
How do you feel about say like the Stephen King method, where
Where I
he
just
says,
give up on writing?
no, where he
I'm making a small
something that he
town.
does is where he says that he just sits down and has an idea.
He's called a pantser.
What's a pantser?
A pantser is where they
Like
just
that.
allow the idea to bring them through the script or the story.
So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel
I feel all the time.
that still is like someone who does that still follows the formula where
Oh, yeah.
there's an Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, or do you feel that someone who does that is just kind of like going to the wind and saying, hey, we'll see what happens? Or do you think
All the time.
that having the idea of how the structure should be helps guide someone who's doing a free flow?
Well, I believe a pantser is still writing a formula. They're just writing off the cuff. They're not like writing off of notes. They might do a lot of research before they do anything, but then they just have it all in their head and they throw it out and then they just write whatever they think. But a true story will be in the formula no matter what. So a great story will be a refined story even as a pantser writes it. But if someone's just writing like, there's a house, car crashes, the girl breaks his ankles, he escapes. Like there's no story there. But the way he writes off the cuff or as a pantser is he creates the first scene, which is going to be, without a doubt, the ordinary world. He's just going to do that because he's a writer and he knows how to tell a story, even though I'm not a fan of his writing because of his word selections and like some other things. And they're always in a small town. But anyway, he's still creating the ordinary world. Every story you look at, there's the ordinary world, there's the inciting incident. He might take a while to get to those moments, and then when he's editing, he might be like, let's get to the inciting incident a little quicker.
Do you think someone that does
Yes.
that method also is more apt to purposefully write themselves into a corner, or do you feel like they're still kind of just like whatever flows happens?
Well, I think a great writer will write themselves into a corner. In fact, on purpose. In fact, even if you write out I do outlines, and then I just go through. And my outlines don't
Thank
always.
God that there's like computers, because if there weren't, you would literally just have like an entire
Yes.
structure of notes for outlines.
It'd be terrible.
Our rent would be like triple.
Yeah. But even with my outlines, I'll change my story as I'm writing, just because what'll happen is as I'm writing, I'll discover new elements, or I'll discover like, oh, that's interesting about that character. Maybe they can go that way, or you know what, I want a new character. It just happens, and that's okay. That's the thing
I
about
didn't realize it had a tentacle penis. This is great. Let me change my notes. It's a tiny one.
This is solid. There's 42 penises. Oh my god. Star Wars. No. So, but even writing, you have to write yourself into a box, and the reason is because that creates tension. Though I will admit, when I'm watching like a movie or a television show, I'm like, they just wrote themselves into a box just so there's tension. Like there's
It's like a natural occurring box, and then there's like
There's
a
crap.
convenient box.
Yeah, like for example, Deadpool does this thing in the first movie where he gets all his guns and he's like, give me the gun, where's the guns, where's the guns? And then like he puts it in the trunk and then he drives off and he doesn't have the guns. He's like, oh, I left the guns in the taxi. And the reason he did that was budgetary reasons. So watching that scene, I always thought, I was like, that was really convenient. That is convenient, by the way. That would be 100% convenient, where they just were like, it happens. But it didn't influence the story in a way where they're like, well, now he has to fight with his hands. No, the budget influenced this. Yeah. They weren't writing and they were like, oh, where are the guns? Like, it would be great if the guns were left in the car and then he has to, because they would have really acknowledged it, but they did it with like a line. It was just like, oh, my guns.
Which is still really funny.
I love that movie. There's nothing wrong with that movie. Except
I think that moment was like really funny.
Yeah.
It's also just like,
it's very, it's fun. But it's convenient. But that was them writing themselves in the box, quote unquote. But it really wasn't. They were just like, he forgot his guns, but he's also, he's immune to death. he has his swords, he has his pistols.
he's self-aware that he's in a movie.
He's self-aware, he's gonna win. But like writing yourself in a box would be like let's say that character who escaped from that was, as you say,
Conveniently let go.
like everybody else in the cell in the prison, and he's walking out and like he escapes the prison, whatever. And as he's walking, like I'm like, I want him to have conflict. So then like
A dragon monster.
I'm like the ground, a sinkhole happens. And you're like, though that would make sense narratively because of the earthquake. So a better example might be, you know, I don't know, three bandits are like, hey, you, stop. You know, what money do you have? And you're like, all right.
You're like, why
this
is the bandit inside the
Yeah, like,
prison?
why no, he's escaped her. He's out in the world. And they're like, give us what you have. Oh, you know, it's like, how does he get out of this situation? And that's like really bad. So I like boxes where they kind of they naturally find themselves in those boxes. And if it doesn't make sense to me, I'll change it. But you should be writing yourself in boxes because the whole point is tension resolve, tension resolve. That's what a story is. Tension resolve, tension resolve. Will they or will they not get together? Do they love each other or not love each other? You know.
Yeah, it also just feels like the world is more real because there's more than just one thing going on. Because if you have just one main storyline going on, and everything else is just kind of like revolving, like.
Well, yeah, because you're a B, C, D.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like the more you have, you know, within reason, within the story, it helps you flesh out the fact that this could potentially be like a real world where people are living, and not just we're all kind of like waiting for like the main characters to do their thing. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, but true real world building has nothing to do with exposition or anything. So like, it's good that you say that because you want things to happen that explain the world, not necessarily like you meet somebody you're like, welcome to the tavern. Our tavern's been here since 1901, and by the way, the greatest. If you notice on the wall, you know he's the greatest warrior in the world. He's dead now, but we celebrate. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, but if somebody sat in a chair and you go, you got to get up. I'm like, why?
But yeah.
No one sits in that chair. Why not? That's Sir So-and-so's chair.
Sure, Robert.
Well, he's not here. Well, he'll never be here again. But this honors him because he was the greatest warrior in this town. That's world building.
Yeah.
Because there's tension and resolve.
Or in what is it, Rebel Without a Cause, where he walks across the seal, and like, it's Rebel Without a Cause, right?
I don't know. You're telling me.
I think it's Rebel Without a Cause where James, like, he goes to like the school for the first time, and like all the students are walking around like the seal that's on the ground, and then he's just kind of like, ooh, not really paying attention because it's like, you know, kind of like in awe of like what's going on, but he accidentally walks across like the school seal, and like somebody stops him and goes, "Yo, dude, it's school seal."
Did he go? You know this is a black and white, right?
Oh.
You're tearing me apart. That's all I remember from that movie. It's James Dean. He died not too shortly after that. Right.
Correct, right?
Something like that. Yeah, he died.
He died from death.
He didn't die from the car though. He died from his heart stopping.
Is he falling? Well,
He
not
probably
falling.
had COVID.
If the sudden stop at the end, it kills him.
He didn't die from COVID. He died from his heart stopping. Yeah, but his heart stopped because of COVID. Ha! Lies.
I don't think they had the COVID in James Dean days.
You know what? I feel it's true. Not as badly as they have it now.
It's not this COVID.
All I know is that comment I left on that page got a response in kind, as in they believed I was being serious. And that made me laugh. Anyway, but so when you're writing, the boxes, you got to write yourself in a box. Even as a pantser, you want to be like, and that's another thing. Like if you're writing as a pantser, you might get to a point like, what do I write? You just write yourself into a box. So in a situation like,
Why is the term pantser, by the way?
because you're just writing off the cuff of your pants.
Oh, I thought it was because you're not wearing pants later.
No.
I totally would be comfortable not wearing pants already.
How comfortable would you be having sex with a male?
I mean, I wouldn't be very comfortable having sex with them because I might get a paper cut.
Oh, all right. So you're not homophobic.
No.
So you would make love to a man.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to get it up, so I don't think.
Well, he can make love to you.
I wouldn't like that.
Oh, so you are homophobic.
No, I just don't think it would be enjoyable.
Why not? Other guys like it.
Well, to each their own.
So you don't like gays.
I enjoy the gay kids. They're very happy.
You just don't like the penis inside you.
Agree.
Why is that? You're
Because
homophobic?
I don't think that's what that means.
What does it mean?
That means that I'm
So
not
you're-
sexually aroused by the penis.
So you're transphobic.
It doesn't make any sense.
What if it's
either.
a girl with a penis?
That's a boy.
Oh.
Or a man.
Well, listen, sometimes you can fuck out. You got both? I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're in. Oh, we're both in. This is the weirdest thing ever.
This is the weirdest first date I've ever been on. I'll get the jump.
Do you think hermaphrodites are named like
Bobby Sue.
like yeah, like Bobby Sue, Chris, Pat, Androgynous. Anyway, what were we saying? What were we saying before we totally lost our entire brand value?
I have no idea.
You were saying nothing, and I was saying
You were saying something that was important.
pantsers
Like,
riding off the. Oh yeah, so pantsers sometimes they get to like in Misery. There's a moment where she breaks his legs. You know,
Spoiler.
that's writing yourself into. I'm probably 90% sure he was writing that story off the cuff, and then he was just like, "What do I do?" Like he could have escaped right now. This is she's gone. He she found this. He got a gun. He got a knife. Whatever. And it's like, you know what? I'm gonna write myself into a box. She's gonna come home now while he's out of the bed, and then she's gonna catch him and break his legs. Now what's he gonna do? And that's an example of writing a natural, putting a character in a box. Hey puppy.
Oh, he's just got nothing.
Sorry, he's just messing up your camera.
Sorry. No one needs to see me.
As long as he's not messing up Twitch, that's the most important camera.
I mean, it is. It's on you right now.
Hey booba.
Oh, look how cute.
Hey booba. Hey booba. Boop, can I get kisses? Do you love me?
Yeah.
Show me you love me. Show me you love.
Dad, I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh, I'll be dead.
Good boy.
I'm ready.
This guy is the best and worst wingman. Girls always like, can I check him out? I'm like, sure. And then they don't talk to me. They just hang out with the dog. You know?
Or you're like, oh, getting all like, hanky-panky.
What's that?
He's kind of,
I don't do that. You can only do that when you're married.
I don't think that's a rule.
I told you yesterday, my father gave me the best advice in my life. He says,
what's this?
don't ever get married and have kids. But if you are going to get married, you can't until you have kids. But you can't have kids until you're married. And I said, well, how do I get married? And he goes, you're welcome, son. I said, well, you don't get married and have kids. He's a very unique individual. What advice would you give your son or daughter on writing?
On writing?
Yeah, let me hear this.
I don't know.
Good.
I don't think,
Father, could you please advise me and direct me on my creative endeavors? I don't know.
You got this.
But I do know that Star Wars, their movie edited 42 times.
Well, my thing would be to, I guess, advise them to write. If they're doing something creative.
God.
Doing something
You're
creative.
Doing it. You're doing it.
What
Go
am I
ahead, keep going.
What am I doing?
I'm going to advise them to write. Keep going. Keep going. I know where you're going with it.
Wait, all right, where am I going? You know.
You're doing the artist answer. You're just doing the artist. Just write. Write what you like. Let it just come out. You'll find your voice. Just practice. Yeah. No, what were we gonna say?
Pretty much write what you feel comfortable writing.
Yeah. I don't make this stuff up.
You don't.
That's impractical advice. Why?
I don't know. Tell me. Educate me.
Well, because you didn't give him any guidance. You just told him write what he likes. But what is what he likes? How does he know what he likes? How does he know what he likes or she is writing, at least in story format, right? And so if they practice...
What if they like writing technical manuals? It doesn't need to be a story.
There's absolutely a narrative to a manual. Is there not a narrative to a manual? Does it tell you start with 10? No.
No.
It explains what it is, what each thing does, what's in the box. What's in that box? And then, what movie is that? Did you know they edited that movie twice? No.
It definitely two different names.
It has several of these. Yeah.
Well, there's the theatrical one. There's the one that is just storyboarded.
Yeah, and then there's the one where if you shut it off halfway through.
They do the fake.
Yeah, you
Because
forgot
it's
that
way
one?
too dark to end.
Oh my God, that would have.
Both of the advantages are way too dark.
Did you? He had a knife on that dildo. Turn this off. At least it's not a dead guy stuck in a bed. That would be, oh my God, there's a dead. Oh, he's alive, but he's dead. Wait, what's going on?
I don't know.
This movie's filled with sin. Yeah.
What do you say?
Funny you'll say that. Anyway, so your advice would be to be an artist. You'd be like, hey, I want to learn guitar. Well, then just practice. Don't we talk about how that's the worst advice you can give an artist?
The worst advice you can give an artist is that's great, but have a fallback plan.
No, that doesn't. We're talking about an artist giving an artist advice. So if I go to a comedian and they go, oh, just get on stage as much as possible and write jokes. That's terrible advice, and that's what you just told your kid.
That is terrible. That is terrible advice if someone's asking how to be successful.
How
If
do
you're like,
I-
how do I practice? Practice doing the thing.
Yeah, but I believe I said, what if he comes to me and says, I want to be a writer? I want to be a writer is not how do I write. I want to be a writer.
Oh,
Am I right?
you're writing.
I'm writing. What advice
Well,
would you give your
if they-
child
if they wanted to be
if
a
they were
writer?
like, yeah, I want to be a writer. And you're like, well,
Well,
write what you like.
Well, well,
Is this-
since we were in. Listen, we were in
Let me get this
creative
in.
mode, so
You were, not me.
I was in creative mode. So when you said that, I registered as, oh, I want to write. So
It's still
I was
bad
like-
advice.
to practice writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so then we have to go over what would be the right advice then.
If you came to me and said, how do I become a better guitarist? And I said, practice. Is that good advice?
It is not, but it's a
What
starting
if,
point.
what if I said, give me a second. All right, let's break this down. I say to you,
I'm a career advisor. What do you do?
Just
I advise
practice-
you to get a career.
you come to me and you go, I want to learn how to play guitar, Dad. And I go, didn't I abort you? So, and you go, but I'm 20.
Also, how are you pregnant, Dad?
Yeah, it was very painful. So you come to me and you go, how do I want to learn how to play guitar, Dad? And I
So
say,
we have to get you a guitar.
can I finish? Can I finish? Can I finish?
I mean, you
Can
can
I
try.
finish? I'm talking. I'm speaking.
You can
I'm
try.
speaking.
You can attempt.
That's the hardest thing.
I know.
I'm speaking. There's a fly in here. So,
Camping. I smell.
no, it is camping. No, so you say, and I go to you, practice what you like. Why is that terrible advice? Even though you're saying, well, it's
Well-
a start.
Well, if my kid came to me and said, "Hey, I want to learn guitar," I'd be like, "Well, we have to get you a guitar."
We're past that part.
Well, give me a different situation.
All right, fine. You get him a guitar. That's how you're, Dad, I want to learn how to play guitar. You get
No,
him a
that'd be the
guitar.
first thing. And then I would be like, well, I could teach you what I know, or if you would like, depending on how comfortable you are learning from me,
Yeah.
we can get you a teacher as well. Because depending on who you are, some people may not feel comfortable teaching their own kids, or you might have kids who might not feel comfortable learning from their parents.
Yeah.
In that respect. Because also, like learning an instrument from
So you wouldn't give them advice. You would just give them options.
about learning the guitar.
Yeah, you're like, I'll get you a guitar, I can teach you, or you can take lessons. That was your advice. And I'm saying, if you came to me and said, I would like to learn guitar, you know, like, well, you give me, what could I do? I'm not going to be like, well, here's a guitar, go practice what you like. Because that's what you said. You said earlier about the writing. Just practice writing what you like. But it's not guidance. It's not true advice. In fact, if you learn guitar without a metronome, you're an idiot. Because I did that, and I know many other people who did that, and by the time I was ready to play with bands, what did I have to do?
Learn how to play to an instrument.
I was like, why are you off? I'm the drummer. You're off. I was like, oh.
If you started learning without a metronome.
Right? But I didn't have real guidance. I just had people say to me, you just got to practice. Right? But then when I got good, that's when the people that told me you got to practice gave me real advice. I later learned, they said, well, I wanted to wait till you were serious about it. Now, me personally, I learned something from that. I don't want to wait until you're serious about that. I'm going to give you advice. Now, if you don't take that advice,
That's up to you.
then I'm not interested in helping you any further because you're wasting my time now. And you're wasting your time. So if you say, how do I learn this? And I show you scales, how to practice to a metronome, picking exercises, rhythm exercises, and not even just how to play the guitar
What
yet.
a chord is.
Well, we're not up there. You have to learn the standard use of the instrument and your tools, right? Your tools are your hands, your fingers, and the guitar, right?
What a
But
volume knob is.
but if you come back the following week and I go, all right, tell me what everything is on the guitar, and you go, oh, I didn't practice. That's it. I'm done. I don't have time. You don't want to learn. Yeah, I want to learn. Well, then prove it to me. Come back to me when you are ready. Because at that point, it's not. But I believe that I should give everybody advice who asks for it. True advice is basically how to do it. Just the standard. If you came to me and wanted to be a writer, I'd be like, well, there's a structure to writing. In the process of writing, you have to learn that. Now, the simplified version of writing is you should start trying to write one-page stories or a paragraph story. Can you create an act 1, 2, and 3 in a paragraph? Can you complete a full story? And if they say no, you go, well, that's why you got to learn. Because if you can't create character on 1 page, you can't create character on 20 pages. Because you should be able to create character in just the first moment of a character's introduction. And character is basically what they do or do not do, or why they do it, or why they don't do it, or who they are, the description. right? From that point, that's where you go. And now you practice what you like writing. Just write whatever you want, but follow these tools. Because the tools are always going to be the tools. But I'm not going to tell you what to write. I'm just going to tell you these are the tools. And you know me, my advice is always the tools, never the variable. Because I can't teach you the variable.
The variable is something that you can't really predict.
Well, it's your art. It's your creative process. It's like if someone comes to me with a horror film, I can still break that horror film up, even if A, I don't like horror, which might not necessarily be true, but or B, I think what you wrote is terrible. But if I can see the writing, I go, well, it has the arcs, it has the story, it has a narrative, it has character direction, it has character development. The script is good. I just don't like the script, and that's the difference.
You're like, listen, people like murderous unicorns, and some people don't. Horror movie.
But but that's the difference between being a consultant and someone who's critiquing. Is if someone comes to me and I see that the stuff isn't there, I'm just going to tell them they're missing this. But it has no bearing on if I like it or not. That's why when musicians like listen to my music, I'm like, no. I was like, do you like it? Yeah, that's all I needed. But I can rip apart a song easily. I can be like, it's missing this, and this. If it doesn't have the ingredients to a story or a narrative, it's no longer a good. It's not good. Because even if you listen to some of the that's funny.
What?
I was like, where's the red light coming from? It's like shining on your computer. Because even a song has a narrative, and like Bon Jovi. If you what's Living on a Prayer?
Yeah, it's literally or Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Wait, let me lyrics to
By
Paradise.
Meatloaf.
I never.
Which is literally just like a story, a narrative.
Lyrics to Living on a Prayer. Okay. Living on a Prayer.
We used to work on the dock.
All right, don't jump in. All right, Tommy used to work on. All right. So Tommy used to work on the docks. Union's been on strike. He's down on his luck. It's tough, so tough, right? Gina works the diner all day, working for her man. She brings home her pay for love. That's the first verse, right? Now, if you notice, that's the world they're in. That's literally that's their world. He works on the docks. He's on strike. He's down on his luck. It's tough. Oh, so tough. And then she's working at the diner all day to pay the bills. Right? So that's Act 1. Second verse. I think this second verse. She says, we've got to hold on to what we've got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We've got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot. That's their ascension to the climax of Act 2. And then it's, whoa, we're halfway there. JD, listen to that. They just did in the verse 2 the ascension to the Act 2 climax. We're halfway there.
Literally.
Then he says, we're living on a prayer.
That's so meta.
Right? Take it's not, it's just structure. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. Whoa, living on a prayer. That's them finding a solution, right? Now what happens? Now we get to the third verse. Tommy's got a 6-string and hock. Now he's holding in what he used to make it talk so tough, it talks so. Gina dreams of running away when she cries in the night. Tommy whispers, baby, it's okay someday. And then we got to hold on to what we got. And then it does it again. We got to hold on to what we got. Right? And then it goes, whoa, oh, wait, it's full lyrics. And it does the chorus twice. Does a double chorus now. Oh, no. Okay, so here's Act 3. There's another verse. It goes, oh, we've got to hold on, ready or not. You live for the fight when it's all that you've got. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, we're living on a bridge. It kind of does like a bridge verse, a bridge chorus. Anyway, what it's doing is it's resolving that. Give me another song. Let's see if we can do that or not. That was fun.
Well, we could do, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, which is literally telling the entire story.
Paradise.
By Meatloaf.
By the what?
Meatloaf.
No.
Dashboard Light.
There it is. Okay.
Such a long title.
Let's see.
I mean, who titles their songs like full paragraphs?
Let's see. Oh, this is like a musical that he wrote.
Yeah, but it's still a narrative.
Yeah, we're trying to do like smaller songs, where you wouldn't think there is one. Let's do.
We could do Dracula by Esther.
Oh my God. Dracula lyrics. Oh wow, by Beth who? Nice.
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem. Do you believe in love? Oh, okay. Do you believe in love? Do you believe in destiny? True love may come only once in 1,000 lifetimes. I too have love. They took her from me. I prayed for her soul. I prayed for her peace. When I close my eyes, I see her case. It comforts me.
Face.
It says case on it.
Oh.
When I close my eyes, memories cut like a knife. That is the world he lives in. That's his ordinary world. That's what he deals with. Right? And then it goes, the blood is life. The Christ I defy. My sworn enemy. Birth of a new creed. That's also his ordinary world. Right?
But it's also kind of setting up a little bit of the tension because, like, we've established.
Yeah, it is setting up the tension. It might even. Yeah. So that would be the inciting incident because the next verse literally talks about it. So it goes, is this my reward for serving God's own war? The blood I've spilled for faith fulfilled. To damn her, a disgrace, you spit back in my face. I served you loyally, and you spew blasphemy, right? So this is
Pretty intense.
This is the ascension to Act 2, right? I avenge with darkness, the blood is life, the order of the dragon, I feed on human life. So this is his conflict, his destruction. Oh my God, like, this is my new world. I'm a monster, right?
You ever wonder how, like,
All the time.
vampires deal with cholesterol?
Yeah. They're vampires and it's mythical fake stories.
Fair enough.
Plus they have insurance. There are far worse things awaiting man than death. Come taste what I've seen. I'm spreading my disease. I will feed upon his precious children. Oh, child, the human race will bleed. Thy will serve my need. Avenge the darkness. So now this is the climax. He's decided his solution is to start killing God's own people and turning them into his own children, vampires.
I'm taking them away.
What?
I'm taking them away.
Yeah. This is a solution. Because I am the dragon of blood, a relentless prince of pain, renouncing God of his throne. My blood is forever stained. For true love I shall avenge. I defy the creed that damned her. I am the dragon of blood. Relentless repeats the night. Right? So he's accepted his life because this actually ends with him becoming fully Dracula. Like he's like, this is my life. So that's his conclusion: is he beat God. God never struck him down. Anyway, let's look at your lyrics. Nothing.
Great.
Nothing.
And we just go silent for 3 minutes.
So do you see how I did that? You see what I did there?
There's the full narrative.
Did you see the full narrative?
I did.
You saw that, right?
I did.
Was it nice? Did you like it?
What about understand? We don't actually have to do it.
All right, yeah, because there's no narrative. Took me in all the day and reap on seal to the Sandman girls. Yeah.
I love that someone put together literally every clip from every album, every live performance, every whatever. That's like 10 minutes long. Just yeah.
I feel the issue with Metallica is they have such a strong brand that like they can literally do whatever they want. And like that went to James Hetfield's head, and he was just like, I'm a poet, and he just started writing weird poems for songs. And I was just like, what happened to his awesomeness? Like, because Master of Puppets
is great.
It's just the lyrics to that song. You know what? Watch. I need to prove my point.
All right, we're doing Master Puppets.
Because this has to do with narrative, right? But I'm not gonna.
But also, it's Master Puppets.
I'm not gonna break down. That's funny. I'm not gonna break down the narrative. I'm just gonna. So, end of passion play, crumbling away. I'm your source of self-destruction. Veins that pumped with fear, sucking darkness clear, leading on your death's construction. That's so. There's so much imagery. You know what's going on. This sucks. Taste me, you will see. More is all you need. This is like heroin is speaking to you. Dedicated to how I'm killing you. This is literally heroin talking to you. And then come crawling faster. Obey your master. Your life burns faster because you're killing your life, right? And then Master of Puppets and pulling your strings. Whatever. Hell is worth all that. Natural habitat, just a rhyme without a reason. Never-ending maze. Drift. Anyway.
Drift on number days.
All right, so those Master of Puppets. Okay. Never-ending way, no, needle work the way, never you betray. Life of death becoming clearer. Pain monopoly, ritual misery. Chop your breakfast on a mirror. So all that is just, it's your day. It's your day. Anyway, listen to those lyrics. Now, ready? Just give me a second.
It's a lot of lyrics.
Enter.
We don't have to do Enter Sandman. There definitely is not
Enter
a lot going
Sandman lyrics.
on. Lyric.
Let me see the genius of this.
Well, Unforgiven.
Say your prayers, little one. Don't forget, my son, to include everyone. I tuck you in, warm within, keep you free from sin until the Sandman comes. I don't know if this is a nursery rhyme that he may or may stolen, but it is. Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. Exit light, enter night. Take my hand. We're off to Neverland. Something's wrong. Shut the light. Heavy thoughts tonight, and they aren't of Snow. They aren't of Snow White. Dreams of war, dreams of liars, dreams of dragons' fire. This is like, you know, what'd be cool in a song? Dragons. Let's put it in there.
I mean,
There's just no depth to his lyrics. Or what's the newest song? Oh, King Nothing.
that's not new, right? It's like 20 years old.
I know, Jesus.
Wait.
Okay, now let's
do like one of the newer albums.
Well, let's do King Nothing, and we'll do a new album. Because this would be
The progressive.
they left for 4 years, and this was the first album they released after Metallica, which is the Black Album.
So when they do the rock,
Yeah. Ready?
rock Metallica.
So what's the first verse to Master of Puppets?
End of Passion Play.
End the passion play, crumbling away. I'm your source of self-destruction. Right? Wish I may
Wish I might.
have this wish.
I wish tonight.
Are you satisfied? Dig for gold, dig for fame. You dig to make your name. Are you pacified? All the wants you waste, all the things you've chased, and it's crushing you down, and it's breaking your crown. And you point your finger, but there's no one around. Just one thing, just to play the king. But the castle crumbled, and you're left with just the name.
Where's your crown?
King Nothing. All right, terrible.
Alright. So what's the last one? Hardwired to Self-Destruct? Is that album?
Hardwire to self-destruct lyrics. There's actual lyrics to this.
Oh yeah, so it's the same.
So let's do it.
Wait, Moth the Flame. Moth the Flame.
What? Which one are you
The Moth the Flame. Because that was the one that they pushed.
Moth to flame. Here it goes. This is funny. Moth to flames. Okay. Oh Jesus. Oh my God.
You're sighing before we even started.
All right, here it goes.
20 birds.
Blacked out. Pop queen.
And we're done.
I can't even do this. You read this one.
Oh.
You read this one. Go ahead.
No guarantees I'm not going to be able to lie.
I couldn't even get past the King Nothing.
Blacked out, pop boom, amphetamine. The screams crashed into silence. Tapped out, doused into gasoline.
See, spoken word.
The high tire is going diamonds. I'm trying.
All right, give me this. All right, ready? We're gonna make Metallica lyrics better. Blacked out and the fires rain as the pop queen stuck in amphetamines, right?
Amphetamine.
Amphetamines.
Amphetamine.
The screams crashed into silence. My light left out of the violence. Tapped out, doused in the gasoline that burns my eyes. The high times going timeless. I could feel the rage between my thighs. Right? So now we're getting something going. I'm just trying.
I'm done.
Oh wait, here's the chorus. Light it up. Light it up. Another hit erases all the pain. Bulletproof. Kill the truth. You know what I feel like he's doing? He's writing like another drug song here.
But he's not.
Jesus! The lyrics to this are so long.
Well, the song is like, what, 42 minutes?
Yeah, but it's just twisted.
What's really funny is that, like, Master of Puppets is probably as long as that song, but most of it is, the awesome instrumental parts.
I can't take it.
All right, we're done with this.
Wait. I got something for you.
Oh god, is it more Metallica?
No.
Is it not Metallica?
All right, here it goes.
All right.
Just tell me who this is. Salted sweat washed in my soul, clouds collapsed and thunder's cold. Here denied the winter's pain, lashes on my back, refused to drain.
I have no idea.
Desperation over my palm, I would hang hope upon my shoulders. Lips have passed my thirst before, bodies of lust burnt out my control.
Oh, this is Alpanian.
This is Altanian. All right. Each name pure of purpose, nothing useful of their reign. I can paint mountains over with the skin dark and stained. Glory danced in hollow screams. Marks of sin filled my dreams. Tell me these lyrics are worse than Metallica's last two albums.
They're definitely not.
They have such there's imagery. There's
There's a story. There's a
sto-
scene being set up.
Yeah, there's
You
something
did
going
not
on.
use the word amphetamine.
I wanted to, but I can't say it. All right, here's one.
Ambidextrous me.
I'm a dick remain. So here's one, right? This is an actual story song, right? So I found the strength to write you well within quaking hands, a betraying tale. 1,000 lashes upon my soul, a friendship banished inside this hole, conceived from the greatest fears, stains of blood running down like tears. Dude. Beauty queen.
You didn't use the word gasoline, so I don't think we can approve this.
I should. All right, I'll do the second verse. Cast in death's alluring grace, all for a woman's warm embrace. I'll kill you both in winter's bane, on the dawn of our last exchange. Your tongue burnt in vicious lies, my cold steel blade running through your side. Ice warming on broken glass, visions of peace burnt from my grasp. Tell me that's not creating an image.
That's very. There's a lot of image.
There's a lot of imagery, right? And it's about a guy basically writing a letter, and he's telling the story about how he was betrayed by his friend and stuff.
My question is he using a quill or a pen?
He's actually using a bone
A bone quill?
because it's basically like it's my version of Count of Monte Cristo and Cristo.
Can you do a version where you got
This food is cooked.
Why is it just covered in crystal all the time?
It's so flimsy. It feels good when I put it in my boots.
That's how he gets out. He just coats himself in crystal.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Anyway, so it's loosely based on that, but it's like my version. Let's just do another. Let's do. Essence of blood pulls through my need to exist. Cold are these days. I wander in my mind, far from my soul. My deeds beyond that of man, condemned to the ways of evil. Fear runs through the merciful acts I bring upon my soul. Right, and then there's this song gets a little dark though.
All of your songs get dark.
That's not true. Here's a light one. Into the wonder of my soul, what distant tears I try to hide, curled upon my fist of lives gone by, a faint in my wonder, silent in my eyes. Right? And then it's cross the vacant temple of time, I search for the answers inside, a whisper of a chance died tonight as I thought I knew my life was mine. This is like, to me, lyrics need to they have to have some, like, obviously I'm not writing like, living on a prayer here, but
Can we add more woes to your music?
they are everywhere. What is this? Uh-oh. JD,
What?
good news.
What? You found my
I
lyrics?
got an email.
Ooh.
Anyway. You've written lyrics. I would love to hear your lyrics. Do you remember any of them? Because I have them all right here.
I remember a chorus to a song that I wrote.
Let me hear.
This is about.
This ain't the gay song.
This is about the gay song.
No, I
This
say
is not
gay
gay
because
song.
it's about two guys that fall in love.
Funny story.
On the Wings of Dragons. Which you can find his music and make it right up here. Go ahead.
It's 3,000 years we've walked the land, as shadows stalking the creature called man. In search of the precious, our master forged, we can be killed by no man.
See? You write good lyrics.
That's terrible. I just took most of that from Tolkien.
I know. I don't want to point you out, but have you ever come up with an original idea?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this. That's the Mona Lisa. Yeah, but I painted it.
Yeah, there's nothing on the page, JD, because it's instrumental.
You painted that? How many times did it take you? 42.
It's always 42.
It's always 42. So, but still, you were able to take some inspiration from something and then copy it and then plagiarize it.
Yep.
And then put it. What about On the Wings of Dragon? What's the chorus? That's a terrible chorus.
I don't remember what I wrote originally.
Now, isn't it On the Wings of Dragons? And it's like,
That's the last line.
oh, that's it. Oh, what's the first line? Come on, you know. Good, you can do it.
Okay, this is
You
terrible.
can do
It's, vengeance has arrived.
it. Has.
Vengeance has arrived.
Yep.
There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah, all right, you're right.
Let my justice call to my fellow kind.
Yeah,
Get my fire
I
in
get you. Now tell me.
and let chaos ride on the wings of dragon.
Does it go, Chaos Rings?
No.
Does it go, Chaos Rings?
No, because I have balls.
High notes are good, though.
I mean, they are.
Yeah. But you go,
That part's stuff.
how's it saying? Let me hear.
We're not saying.
We got vengeance. Yes, we do. We got, what else? Fire rain.
Funny story.
Let me tell you back and forth into edits. Dragons on the wings. So what you're saying is you're not a lyricist.
Not even close.
I think you write
That's
some
why-
good lyrics. When you stole the Lord of the Ring,
Yeah, that's great.
I was like, is that literally like word for word from
Oh,
no, I was gonna say. It sounds
Yeah. No, I took obviously like in the book you read it.
yeah, the good
They've
stuff.
walked around for like 3,000 years.
How long are they walking around for?
About fucking.
Also about 3,000 years. If you could be a lyricist, would you add lyrics to your song?
Maybe.
Because you could write them, but you would not allow another human being to write them.
That's not true.
So you would collaborate? You'd be like,
I would
I wrote these
collaborate.
lyrics for you. And you're like, now write them. And they're like, but you wrote them already.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, but
write
it's
with
my
your
song.
hands.
Yeah, just copy it. Can I add anything? No. I am a collaborator. We are collaborating. You will be on the album.
You can underline it.
Okay, I like this one. What is it? Vengeance. Vengeance is mine. All right,
That's a
so
great song.
would you so if you could write lyrics, you don't know if you would put them in your songs?
If I could write lyrics, are you referring to like the Angels on the Battlefield project?
Yeah, like real lyrics though.
If I felt comfortable writing lyrics,
Yes.
I would add them to Angels on the Battlefield. Yes, but I do not feel that me doing music on my own, which
Yeah.
is the Angels on the Battlefield project.
Yeah.
I do not.
So
feel
no one else is allowed to help.
with Angels on the Battlefield.
Yeah.
Being that is just
It's
me
just
by
you.
myself.
Yeah.
That being said, I am totally more than happy to join another project where
Well, we're not talking about
collaborative.
So Angels is always going to be instrumental because you can't write lyrics.
Because I don't feel comfortable writing lyrics. Correct.
But if someone was like, I wrote some lyrics for your songs, you'd be like, no, I am the sole creator of this because if it's
Well,
successful,
someone-
it must be on my blood.
No, that's not it at
You
all.
could write that as a lyric.
If someone wanted to write music with me and have lyrics involved, I would totally write music with them.
but not for a song you wrote.
Intended for Angels on the Battlefield? Is it already out?
What you're saying, you will not put lyrics in your songs for Angels on the Battlefield
Correct.
because you can't write lyrics.
Because that is just me writing stuff. So if I wrote something,
Are you ever going to have people play live with you?
yes,
So it's not just you.
correct.
So there's like a band.
So when you're writing stuff for Al Canyon,
Yes.
do you do you say I wrote this song,
Yes.
and then when they have people come along and go, oh, why don't we change the chorus to this?
Well, I'm not talking about current song. We're talking about if you wrote new music for Angels on the
If I
Battlefield.
wrote new music and someone said I really want to put lyrics to that, I would, depending on who it was and what the thing, what the project was, I would consider the idea.
This is recorded. Right?
Yeah.
All right, because this is going to happen.
You're gonna be like, hey JD, I went through all of your music while you were sleeping, and I wrote lyrics to everything that hasn't been released.
Every single song. I already have
But they're
lyrics for most of them.
all, for some reason, they're all about cheeseburgers.
No. I have some lyric examples. Ready? Tuck you in, all within, keep you free from angels.
And we don't make this stuff up.
We don't make this stuff up. It's-
Except more being crazy.
oh my god. So what you're saying is you could collaborate with another person as long as they wrote the lyrics that you wrote that are good.
I didn't write any lyrics.
That's what I'm saying. So can they write lyrics and put it in your songs?
If it is not released already, and if it's a brand new song,
Brand
yes.
new. Okay, so Angels on the Battlefield isn't technically an instrumental band.
Well, that wouldn't be for Angels on the Battlefield.
But that's what I'm saying,
Project.
for Angels on the Battlefield.
Yeah, but no.
So, but
Angels on the Battlefield is an instrumental
it's
project.
just about, no, it's because you can't write lyrics. So I'm saying if someone could write lyrics for you. Because that's what you said.
Well, Angels on the Battlefield is just me creating it.
So
that would not be.
So when you play live, it's just you.
No.
Who's playing with it?
Well, that's not creative. That's the performance.
Oh, so they're just monkeys.
I kind of want to get monkeys.
So Angels is like just you. Creatively. So no one who comes in, like let's say you got a bass player, and because you can't really play bass yet, they take your part and they go, hey, I'm a bass player.
I'm going to play it like a bass.
Can I play it more like a bass? You're going to say no.
I would say yes.
Whoa, all right, here we go. We just opened the door. So what if the bass player is an amazing lyricist?
Well, that song is not.
No, we're talking about, he goes, oh, we're working on a new song. Do you want me to play on the next album with you or do the next tour?
Play bass?
Yeah.
Sure.
And he goes, oh, by the way, while we were working on this, I came up with some really great lyrics and I also made good bass parts. Are you going to say lyrics no, bass yes?
No, I would be like, this is wonderful. Let's start a new project.
Because of the bass parts.
No, because of the lyrics.
Because you didn't write the lyrics.
Because Angels on the Battlefield does not have lyrics.
Because you said you can't write lyrics.
Because that is just me creatively.
So if you could write lyrics, you would create another band and just write songs with lyrics on that band.
If it got to the point where I felt comfortable enough with me writing lyrics, I would make a new project. I would not have Angels on the Battlefield have lyrics.
All right, see, that's a better answer because before you were contradicting yourself. The way you were, and that's where I was like, oh, wait, because you were making loopholes. You were making loopholes for me.
Because the way Angels on the Battlefield has evolved, it is an instrumental project.
Yeah.
So if I started writing music with lyrics,
You would just change the band completely.
there would be a different band. I would still do Angels on the Battlefield because I like having instrumental music.
Yeah.
But if I started writing lyrics, I would make a completely different project.
What if someone else started writing lyrics? And you were like, all right, we have this other band.
No. What are you talking about?
You wouldn't join another band with lyrics?
I maybe I'm not understanding your question.
So what if someone's like, look, I wrote these songs and I added some lyrics to them. And they're just your Angels on the Battlefield songs rearranged. Let's say shrunk down.
No, because then that's just taking Angels on the Battlefield stuff.
But it's an homage. It's an homage.
The only one who's allowed to do that is the dog. So they have to be Imperial on the Battlefield.
So if Imperial makes an album, let's say that he's been working on for the last couple of weeks, late at night when everyone's sleeping in the house, would you do that album?
Well, of course, because it's Imperial.
It's because Imperial. All right. So be aware, Imperial on the Battlefield is coming. Some songs will be modern Imperial. Imperial has awoken.
Imperial has awakened.
Oh wait, yeah, that one's
On the wings of Imperial.
on the wings of Imperial.
A walking Imperial.
A walking Imperial.
A leap of Imperial.
A leap Imperial. Imperial leap.
Imperial top.
Imperial faith.
Ooh.
Oh, I like that one better.
No, they won't find Imperial.
I don't know. It's my project.
I love the dogs.
No, the dog is.
That
The dog just nods in agreement. Watch. You like mine? Yeah, that. See.
was my not. That was just, yeah.
You get no creative control in this project. My project. I've started it with my dog.
I have Imperial spoken.
I have Imperial spoken. If you came with the lyrics, I'd have to throw it out. All right. So we've been doing this for far too long. So I'm starving. Yeah, let's go. I don't make this up.
Imperial definitely makes this up.
But JD, okay?
I was doing my half of the thing.
No, you make some of it up. Imperial's last.
Whatever.
Jesus.
I don't think he had anything to do with this conversation.
Look, I don't make this stuff up,
I make some of this stuff up.
but Imperial definitely makes it all up. Anyway,
Also, if you want to check out Thomas J. Bellezza, go to ontheweekdragons.com.
yeah, which is spelled M-A-K-E. Yeah, if you want to see both of us, just go to anything that's BBR Productions. If you want to see JD, it's all makearightlove2.com. If you want to check my stuff out, you can also go to makearightlove2.com, and you'll find some amazing instrumental stuff with lyrics. It'll sound close to Angels, but it's Imperial on the Battlefield. Anyway, by the way, don't work too hard. Be productive, and always work with other people. Unless, of course, they're not collaborative material.
Work together.
Yeah, work together. Try to work together as long as there's no no's. Just double no's.
What happens if you have to work together? You got to grow together.
Well, you have to grow together to rise together. Unless somebody says no. Would you work with someone that said no?
Probably.
Oh my God.
Depending on the
The
situation.
project will go nowhere.
Nah, he said no.
You'd be in a circle of people going no, and you'd be like, "This is totally not fun." I'll be honest. That would bug. I would completely never. I wouldn't even show up to the. I wouldn't show up.
Like, call when you're done.
Where's the stuff? I don't know. It was here last night when we left. Tom, where are you? Huh? Who's this? Are you coming back? You know what? No.
On that note,
Anyway, all right. We don't make this stuff up.
y'all are have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah.
Don't work too hard.
I don't want to. Jay, I want to have the last word. Let's see if we can get it in. All right, goodbye.
Click.
Bye. Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? I think I got it. Did I get the last word?
No, click.
I don't know. When I edit it, it'll be gone. Anyway, that's it, Eric and I. Bye. We're done.